All right, welcome back to the channel. This is BTE TV, and I am Tony Jackson. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Tonight I have a very special guest, and I am really excited to hear what he has to say, and I think you will be too. I've got Hijacker with me tonight. Hijacker was the host of Revolution Radio for 15 years. Revolution Radio was a pretty big online radio station. I've definitely watched a few of those stations. Hijacker, welcome. Thank you for being here.
I appreciate being here, Tony. It's an honor. Absolutely. I'm one of your avid followers. I make sure I catch all your shows, although they are a bit lengthy. But I hang with most of them for sure. Good material, good format, great format. In fact, what I've learned is like that scripture in the Bible that God calls out to, I don't know if it's Isaiah or Elisha, who's in the cliff of the rocks. And, he's saying, I didn't hear God's voice in the whirlwind or in the thunder, but it was the still small voice. And it's your type of channels, which are not, mega channels, like a Jones or whatever, where you actually get a lot more truth. This is sort of where God actually whispers through the smaller ones. And for whatever reason, not really sure how it works like that, but you can actually get more truth through some of the smaller channels than you can through the bigger ones. They can only go so far. And you get big enough, then either you become a gatekeeper or they'll deal with you, so to speak. So, yeah, great channel, Tony.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I agree. The small channels I've noticed, especially lately, it's the smaller channels that I tend to be watching more because they don't seem to be as compromised. And you're right. If you get too big, then they're going to come to you and either, offer you something to say the right things, or they'll, like you said, they'll deal with you. Well, again, welcome everyone. Thanks for being here. I know it's late, but this is going to be important. Hijacker has some very important information that he wants to share with us. So, Hijacker, I'm just basically going to give the floor to you. Guys, if you have questions, let me know. I'll be looking at the I'll be keeping my eye on the chat, and I know we have Trish Clark. Welcome back, Trish Clark. KJ, and I don't know if Little Season Salt and Light's here yet. Oh, yeah, there she is, Heather. So we have some moderators too. So you have questions for Hijacker, just let us know. All right, so Hijacker, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Yeah.
You there, Hijacker? Oh, I think you froze. Let's see if we can get him back. Let's stop video. Hijacker, are you there? Yeah, we were having technical difficulties with his Wi-Fi connection. So let's give him a minute to jump back in. This happened with Ray also a couple times. Yeah, he was hijacked. Interesting. Me and Hijacker were on here for almost 45 minutes. No issues. It's incredible the minute we go live. I mean, he had a little bit of Wi-Fi disruption and some clipping, but this, nothing like this. Maybe his Wi-Fi can't handle the streaming. Yep, we have a new Discord. KJ's announcing that right now. New Discord. Uh, Little Season Northeast Little Season Discord channel. There's a new Facebook group, which KJ also just posted. Okay, let me let him know that he's completely frozen. Okay, welcome. Hey, Steph. Robert Allen. Welcome. All right, he's probably going to jump back in. I can tell you guys that I looked at the list of the notes that Hijacker sent me, and I talked to him. We were just discussing what he wants to talk about, and it sounds like it's going to blow everyone's mind. He has some things that I don't think we've ever heard about. So I'm really excited. Hope he can get back in. If not, Kay, I'll have you come up and we'll just do a little, I don't know. We'll talk about something, the news of the day or something. What do you guys think about Gary, Indiana? Anyone from Gary, Indiana, or near that area? Is it really that bad down there? They like 8 days with no power or something? Ah, aloha from Hawaii. My nephew just moved to Hawaii. Oh yeah, Trish, were you down there? That's why there was the tornadoes that took all the power out. Wow. And of course the people that are supposed to be helping us, they weren't much help, I heard. Um, FEMA. Yeah, Katrina 2 Trey, yeah, Trey says Gary, Indiana sounds like Katrina 2.0. Yeah. Yeah, we'll read the Philokalia. If hijacker can't get back in. I just found out something today about that. That in World War II, the mountain, Mount Athos. Oh, the pics were about 15 minutes from Gary. Wow. Okay, yeah. So those tornadoes came in, and man, we got to pray for those people. I mean, not having power for a day is a major inconvenience. I cannot imagine not having power for 8 days. No gasoline pumps, right? The pumps for the gasoline stations don't work. I can't even imagine that. I'm going to send him another link to join. I don't know what happened. Let me see. Sending another link. So I heard that in World War II, Germany was threatening to invade Mount Athos, where the Philokalia was written. Let me see if I get this right. Mount Athos, it's in Greece. Mount Athos is a peninsula in northeastern Greece, directly on the Aegean Sea. It's an important center of Eastern Orthodox monasticism, and the Germans were threatening to invade it, and the saints wrote Hitler a letter. And I don't know what the letter said. I'm still trying to find it. Um, Basically, whatever they said to Hitler, probably shouldn't have said that name, but it changed his mind, and he ended up defending the monastery. Instead of invading it, he ended up defending it. So they obviously told him something that scared the living daylights out of him. Let's see, defended by Germany. Yep. Yep. In 1943. Yep. The Holy Epistachia Executive Committee of Athos sent a letter to the H man requesting personal protection and guarantee of an autonomy for the Holy Mountain. And the H man accepted. And his portrait was placed among Byzantine emperors in major monasteries. Just, you can't make this up. This is so crazy. Let's see, is Hijacker back in? I don't know what happened to him. Well, here, I'll share my screen. So I don't know. I just find this really interesting. The Germans are getting ready to invade, and then they get this letter, and they end up protecting it. Right here in the summer of 1941, monks greeted the group, sometimes under NAZI symbols. Wow. At some monasteries, they were even welcomed with the, that symbol, right? The sounds like something you swat flies with. These gestures were seen as a way to prevent conflict. So something's going on. That's a very special place. Yeah, it's a very special place. Let's see if there's a picture of it. Yeah, this is it right here. Try that again. That's it right there. That's Mount Athos, where the Philokalia was written. But yeah, someone said Yukon Dan. I believe zero narratives these days. Yeah, I agree. Yukon Dan. I don't trust anything Google says, or it's skewed in some way. Like they'll give you some of the truth, and then the rest of it's just, they just fill the rest in with lies. All right, guys, give me a second. I'm gonna call this gentleman real quick. Okay. Went right to voicemail. All right. What is this? Okay, let me stop sharing. Talking to dolphins. Hello, fellow LS. Wow. I thought they didn't allow that anymore. So, is that the Heather says, check out what they do with the bones of the monks that pass away. Oh, interesting. I know some of the saints don't even, their bodies don't even decay. You can go online right now and type in, uh, uh, you know, preserved corpse saint corpses. They have them like in glass containers or glass coffins, I guess, and they look exactly like they did the day they died. Okay, Trish, I can share the photos that you took. Okay. Well, I'm gonna send. I'll give Hijacker a couple more minutes, and then maybe I'll have Kay and Heather hop on since they're in the chat. But I'll give Hijacker the benefit of the doubt. Give him a few more minutes. Hope he's all right. It's weird. It went right. I called his phone and it went right to voicemail. Yeah, how can they stop us from talking to dolphins? Good point. Welcome, Stephen Flowers, Chiro, welcome. Brian on time, welcome. Theo Alemity, yeah, I did text him. And he hasn't even read it. Yeah, Yukon, good question. What is the purpose of talking to dolphins? I know being born with dolphins, like the children are like super healthy or something, or super intelligent. Okay, I'm gonna see if I could just send him another link. And we did, both of us prayed privately, together, but before we went live, we both prayed for protection because he knew this was going to be a message that they would not want people to hear. Apparently, it's something that he said would completely change the way we viewed the reality of the world we live in. Yeah, my texts aren't even being delivered. It says not delivered, which means he's got no service all of a sudden. And I honestly don't even know. I don't know where he lives. Jim from Colorado. Howdy. Lori Ladd, welcome. Daisy Celine, welcome. And what else? Let's see. I got some from the conversation we were having the other night about China. Heather actually sent me. Oh, I think Hijacker's back. Nope. I got some pictures from Heather showing that area, which was just mind blowing. the things that that you learned that you would think that we would have heard about at some point. Um, hmm, let's see. Remind new. Well, let's see. Okay. Yeah, I don't know, guys. What is it? 20 past and he's still not back? Nothing hidden will remain unknown. That's right, Denise, victorious. Level Water Peep, welcome. Beautiful Aether, welcome. Oh, thank you for what was your video about Level Water? And post a link to your channel. Minerva Richards, welcome. I'll try calling him again. All right. This is like literally never happened. So I'm gonna Kay and Heather, if you guys are free, I'll send you guys I'm sending you guys an invite if you want to jump on while we wait for Hijacker. Yeah, from what I heard, it's definitely something that I think we'll at least want to know. Yeah, Chiro, maybe we were meant to go live for a reason tonight, even if we can't get Hijacker on. Apparently, so he had a big following when he was on Revolution Radio. I mean, he was doing internet radio for 15 years. And he had a very large following. I mean, he'll tell you his testimony, but he's been in like every type of church, Baptist, Pentecostal, Orthodox. He said he's tried them all. Yep, Louisiana Castles. Yeah, I can talk about that, Monica. If he doesn't, there's Kay. I don't think he has a channel, Bailey's. Yeah, we could just read the Philokalia.
I gotta close down the YouTube because it's gonna echo.
Okay, thanks, brother, for joining me here.
Oh.
All right, they want to see Louisiana, and then maybe we'll read the Philokalia. All right, let me pull up my notes. Hey, these things happen, right? This is live TV, people. Oh, hey, Allison. Glad you're doing better. Minerva Richards, welcome.
I was getting the
Bugs.
popcorn ready for this.
Yeah, I know. I'm just a little disappointed. It's weird because I got on with him at 8:15, and making sure, everything worked. And there were a couple kinks that had to be worked out, but we had no issues. So this is a little strange.
Heather just needs a few minutes.
Yeah. It's great that you guys are like ready to go. Okay, list of castles. Look at what it says when you type in list of castles. I'll share my screen. This is so telling. It says, this is a list of castles in the United States. None are actually castles, as there was no medieval period in the Western Hemisphere comparable to that in Europe. Castles were obsolete by the time of European settlement. They are primarily country houses, follies, or other types of buildings built to give the appearance of a castle. Okay. They look like castles to me. These are the, can you see that, Kay?
Yeah, it looks like something from Disney.
Like, they're not really castles, though. Just so everyone knows, these aren't really castles. They just look like castles.
Tony Robbins had a castle on the West Coast, and I saw an interview with him, and they remodeled it, and it looked old before they started fixing it up. And it's an amazing estate.
Look at how many castles there are. Yeah, Kay, don't be fooled, Kay. That's not a castle. Don't.
Right?
It just looks like a castle. That's like paper mache and cardboard.
Yes, they made it out of plaster.
I mean, the list goes on and on. There's even one in Methuen, Massachusetts. On and on and on.
Nope, couldn't be from here.
And they're all saying they're all built in the 1800s.
Yep, in 2 years too.
Now, are there modern castles? I believe they did try to replicate. Yes. I do believe they tried to reproduce, but you can tell, right? You can tell by the age of the stone. And it just doesn't have that same magical quality. You know what I mean? You can tell that it's like modern. Like this one, see, all these ones in the 1900s, yeah, these 1882. This one they say was built in 3 years, 1909 to 1912 in Alabama.
Okay, you want to see something that looks like a castle, but it was a high school. A high school. Type in Morris, Morris, high school, Bronx, like Bronx, New York.
Yep.
I've been in that building when I was 18 years old.
Whoa.
A friend.
This one? Oh.
Yes, that's Morris High School with the big tower.
Right here. Okay, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right here, Morris High School, Bronx.
Yes. Now it's got mud flooded windows. Downstairs and below the bottom floor, there's 20-foot ceilings. And the coal chutes, because it ran off coal, was about 16 feet in the air.
Wait a second.
And that basement that had 20-foot ceilings with the boilers were in was all mosaic tile floor. And then we're all there. I had to paint the lines back then. That was the way you cleaned back then. You painted over the dirt. And I had to paint the yellow and blue lines that led to the fallout shelters, the civil defense shelters that were one more basement down.
Wow.
That
Hmm.
was fun. I worked in that building for about 3 months.
Wow. And then they stick a little
Oh
they
yeah,
s-
it's got the
s-
little
s-
Masonic plaque in the corner.
and they
Yeah, sure.
yeah, and they stick an American flag on the top.
Yeah.
Like, yep, this is
Yeah, nothing to see here,
USA
folks.
construction. Yeah.
But the windows in the basement, they bricked up the top of the windows were they let in light, and they opened up to allow like coal to be dumped into the bin room, and the rest of the window, which is about 14 more feet down, was blocked up. And they had a problem where the blocks were coming undone, and they had to bring in these metal plates and bolt them in to keep the dirt from pouring into the basement. It was definitely a mud flooded building.
Okay. Yeah. Um, okay. Stephanie's saying that I can share pics that they took. Um, they went to this church in, well, South Shore, Massachusetts, and the pictures they sent me back were in just one of the most impressive Millennial Kingdom buildings I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot, right? See if I can even find them. But okay, I'll get to that in a second. But you guys want to know, all right, so why did we start researching Louisiana? So, Kay, remember you were looking into Schofield and I was looking
Yes.
into Imaginos. And I guess maybe it's time we talked about Imaginos because that's something. Okay. So I remembered I used to be a big fan of this band, Blue Oyster Cult. You guys probably are familiar with them. They have a song called Burnin' for You, Don't Fear the Reaper. And in 1988, they had a lot of, let me know if if Hijacker shows up.
I keep an eye.
Okay. Because I can't see who's coming in. Um, okay. This album is all eights. It was released in 1988. There's all these 88s associated with it, and the story. This is a concept album. The band did not even write the story. Their producer Sandy Pearlman wrote the concept behind. It's like a concept album, and I want to get into it. It's a long story, but it goes into all these topics. But essentially, I'll just read this. Although often referred to as a dream, the concept behind Imaginos is what Perlman described as an interpretation of history, an explanation for the onset of World War I, or a revelation of the occult origins of it, which he crafted on elements of mythology, sociology, alchemy, science, and occultism. The combination of horror story and fairy tale cites historical facts and characters. It is filled with literary references to ancient civilizations. The elements come together in a conspiracy theory of epic proportions, the subject of which is, and here's the kicker, the manipulation of the course of human history. And it's a very complex story. It has a group of 7 beings worshipped by the natives of Mexico and Haiti. The 7 beings, they called them the Les Invisibles or the Invisible Ones. And we know, right, there's the 7 spirits of God, right? And the natives, so they're talking about, I guess, indigenous peoples, Native Americans, and worshiping these 7 invisible ones. which is probably a mockery of the seven spirits of God. Anyway, it just has all these very interesting subjects, and I know there's something to this, and I haven't really dissected it all, but they're telling us some truth in this story. And one of the songs is called "The Siege and Investiture of Frankenstein's Castle at Wyceria." So while Kay is talking about Schofield, I'm going on and on about Wyceria. And then we find out that there is a castle in Louisiana, and I can't even find it anymore. I lost track of it. And that's also where Schofield's,
His Bible college was.
yes. And then we looked
Yeah.
at the map of that area, and there's a place called Rothschild. There's a place called, I'll show you the map in a second. So that's why we started looking into, and here's the song. And this song, I believe, could be about the insane asylums. This is the song, "The Siege and Investiture of Baron von Frankenstein's Castle at Wyceria." And the lyrics say, "On the terminal point of the cul-de-sac, patients are dying, the horses are dazed. From the glare of stars, the starry wisdom, owned by the Baron, and he's got the cure. A drug by the name of World Without End." That's the chorus. "Come and take this world without end. You'll be inventor, invention, letter, earth, wind. Rhymed like the real and real as the rhyme. Imagine this Baron, inventor of rhymes. Imagine he was me and I was called Frankenstein." It's just such a bizarre song. So we find there's castles in Louisiana, and here they are. And then I'll pull up the map in a second. But like, look at this castle. That's massive. It might not look that big in the picture, but that's massive. This one says built in 1814. This one says built in 1847. This one up here, called Castle on the River. Served as state headquarters for 85 years before it was abandoned. This one, the newest castle, Chateau, Spalding Chateau. This guy says he did a great deal of the construction himself. Who knows? This one, built as a replica of an old English castle. I don't know if I believe that. Maybe. I don't know. And then this is the most hidden castle on the list. Southern Louisiana has 3 marble mantles dating back to the 16th century. Wait a second. La Petite Chateau de Lou in Mermentau, Louisiana. How could this have stuff from the 16th century? I mean, I thought we didn't have. How could they build a castle in the 1600s in Louisiana? Fisherman's Castle on Irish Bayou. That's kind of a small one. I mean, that could be a replica. What does this say? A landmark, doesn't even say. It was originally built to attract visitors during the New Orleans World Fair of 1984. World's Fair, interesting. And then this one, this is an incredible structure, Beauregard's Castle on Fort Proctor, LA.
I'm here, guys.
Okay. Hi, Heather. Welcome.
Hi, Heather.
Hi.
Let's see. So Fort Proctor. So this castle is right on. Let's see. Do I have? Okay. Check out this place. Like, why would you build this castle in the water?
Because
Right?
it wasn't in the water when they built it.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's see, do I have that? Yeah, okay. Hold on, I just want to give people a Fort Proctor. second. I'll go to videos. I mean, it's abandoned now. Nothing from Hijacker. He hasn't even texted me. Hope he's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fort Proctor, Louisiana. There it is. Okay. Okay, yeah, this is the one. You guys see my screen?
The video popping up.
What's that?
I see your screen. There was a lady on a
All right.
laptop.
Let me share the sound.
Okay.
Yeah, that's that AI commercial.
Now with the AI features, I'll be waiting for your apology.
Can use as a fort.
Before coming to Granite Recovery Centers, my life was pretty dark.
I'm looking at a list.
Beach at the Katrina Memorial. The body of water you're looking at is the Mississippi River Gulf Outlet.
This is the
It's
Nile River.
closed now.
Hold on, pause, Tone. We're seeing a list. It says Seven Spirits. And then Castle, Louisiana, and so we're not seeing the video. We're seeing your list with the links.
All right, hold on a second. All right, hold on.
Yeah.
Can you see it now?
Yes, I see like a water with
Yep.
sandbars.
Yep. This is the
Okay.
this is the Mississippi River. This is where
Okay.
that castle is.
That ships use to get from New Orleans and Baton Rouge to the
And
Gulf
we know this
rather
is
than going through
actually
the
the
winding
Nile River,
Mississippi River.
right?
It was built in
What the Bible called the Nile River.
1969 and it was closed in 2017 after it devastated St. Bernard Parish because it wasn't maintained well. We're going up Bayou Isklos of Lake Bourne. Now it's kind of in the middle of Lake Bourne, almost totally covered by water from Lake Bourne. So Fort Proctor delays caused by hurricane damage, and then delays due to the outbreak of the American Civil War. The fort
Civil
was
War.
never
They use
garrisoned.
that as an excuse for everything.
By the end of the Civil War, improvements in artillery had made the fort design obsolete. All the time and effort and money that went into this huge fort, and it was never used. They never stationed, never garrisoned. People never were in it ready to fight. It's amazing.
Wow. So I crashed out then. How
In
Oh,
the
they-
1940s, in the 1950s,
Okay.
how long have I been crashed out?
Welcome back,
For-
hijacker.
Where did I get to? What did you hear, Kay? Where did I stop?
You literally, just as you started it, wiped out on us. We got one sentence from you, and that was it.
Wow.
Yeah, brother.
I tried texting you, but your phone's off.
Yeah, I killed my phone because we were having those issues. So that was something else. I
Yeah.
did the whole setup. So it's not recorded anywhere then, huh? Just crashed out.
Yep.
Wow. I should have, I was just working off my notes, and so I just assumed, which, you should never assume. I just assumed I was on the air. So I can pick it back up if you want.
Yeah, we're dying to hear what you have to say. So let's just go as much as you can. I mean, as long as you can, if you don't mind. If you don't
Okay,
mind
sure. Yeah.
repeating yourself.
Right. So what I call this is did you get to the part to where these are just my opinions? And this is not the word of the Lord. Did you get that part?
No, We didn't hear a word. We didn't hear anything. As
How
soon
about
as
the
I
de-
s- no, as soon as I said I'm gonna give it over to you, you froze.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was like, this is what I'm going to be talking about. And then you went blank.
Wow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Okay, so literally just start from the beginning.
Yep.
So to start from the beginning, first off, I want everybody to know that I'm a hyper literalist, in the sense that when the Bible says something, unless it's like the Lord owns a cattle on 1,000 hill, if it doesn't put a qualifier like that, where you can plainly see that it's like a parable, it's like uh, I take it literal. And to give you like two examples, the one example is like when it says that all of the stars of heaven, they fell to earth like figs. I'm a hyper literalist. I actually do believe that all of the stars, the angels, actually came to earth during the 1,000 year reign of Christ. In fact, I don't think there was any stars you could see in the in the heavens at the 1,000 year reign of Christ. So when the Bible says, "And the stars of heaven came to earth," and they felt like I believe that they came down to do the mission to help build out the infrastructure of the earth. And so another example would be like the Bible talks about, and there was a great earthquake in Revelation 9, and it talks about this earthquake caused every mountain and every island to move out of its place. Um, I actually believe that. I actually believe that the earth was like Pangea, when Christ walked the earth, that all of the landmass were all interconnected, and that what this earthquake caused, it did move every island and every mountain from its place. And I believe that's when we got the continents. Everything started spreading out over weeks, months, or even a couple of years, and that we got the continents that we got now. But at the time of Christ, that was all one landmass with like one big sea, which we would call maybe the Mediterranean, was maybe in the middle, and that everything was separated, and that God had a reason for that. So, and then finally, I'm going to hit on a lot of things in which people may want to take notes. So get a pen and piece of paper. And so I'm going to stop every once in a while to make sure I'm not kicked off again. So can you hear me, Tony?
I can hear you. Do you want your video to come on as well?
Oh, the video is not on. Okay,
No.
wait a minute.
Yeah, you have to start video. I just sent you a request to start it.
Okay. Alrighty. So it should be on now.
Yep, I can see you.
Right.
And
Okay.
you're okay with Kay being up here with us, since I brought him in because you were frozen. So you okay with the
Right.
extra?
No, actually, I do appreciate Kay because he is the one. Like I say, I want to qualify what I'm saying. This is my opinion, and this is not like a word of the Lord. In fact, some of it's going to be considered heresy. I'll be honest with you. I grew up Pentecostal church, Baptist, Catholic, Orthodox. I've been through all of them. And so what I'm about to say, these 15 revelations, it's going to turn Christianity pretty much on its head. A lot of people are going to say, no, no, no. So I'm glad Kay's here, because Kay is going to.
This meeting is being recorded.
Yeah, Kay will have some pushback, which I welcome, because I'm pretty much on the hill, and I'm looking for somebody to knock me off the hill, if it's possible with these revelations. So let me go back to my notes. And okay, so as long as I see that little light, which means I'm on camera, then I'm on air. So I'll take that like that.
Yep.
So like I say, this is my opinion. This is not a word of the Lord. So people, if I say something and you just say, no, that's not right, brother, then okay, just reject it. With that being said, I do have to say this. 3 years ago, especially when I got the revelation which was closer to 4, that Christ's 1,000-year kingdom has come and gone. The actual physical, like I say, I'm a hyper literalist. I believe it was 1,000-year reign. He actually built the infrastructure of the world out. But it was Seattle. It was May 9th or May 10th. It was a Friday night. And the big news is that Seattle was going to be, I live in Seattle. I live 60 miles north of Seattle, northeast in the Cascade Mountains in the foothills. And so that's where I'm in my proximity. So we were told, as well as California, that you're going to be able to see the Northern Lights this particular Friday evening. And one of my sons, who keeps up on these type of things, and when the Northern Lights are going to show up, and different things with constellations and stars, he kind of watches that kind of stuff, sort of like as a timepiece or whatever. But he says, "Well, Dad, we're going to see the Northern Lights tonight." I says, "Well, that's great." Now, a lot of people say, "Well, the Northern Lights are actually the glory of God. The emerald, the gray, the greens, the bluish greens, the purples, the things that you see, the yellow, the sort of the orangish reds, the Northern Lights, that's actually the glory coming off the throne." Some people have that belief, and that's coming from the north. Well, so at about 10:30 that night, and in fact, I went on a radio show about an hour later describing exactly what I saw. This is what I saw. And I'm not saying that this particular thing that I saw validates these 15 big revelations. So I'm not trying to say I didn't get that in my spirit. It's because I believe that, and now I did kind of believe that the 1,000-year reign of Christ had come and gone, that this was kind of a sign. But these other revelations that I'm going to go into, no, I'm not going to say that, this, what I saw that night is a sign. But here's what I saw. As I went out on my front porch, and you can basically back off my front porch and look right over my stovepipe coming, my wood stove coming out of my home, right above it every night like clockwork is the pole star, the North Star. Never moves. And then what comes whirling around as nighttime comes is the Big Dipper. And the Big Dipper comes right over top of my house. In fact, I have to look directly up, straight up, in order to see it. And I'm looking directly up above my head is the Big Dipper. Well, when the Northern Lights came, they didn't come from the north. They started at the star, which is at the handle of the Big Dipper. So you got the ladle, you got the dipper, the 4 stars. That's the container. And then you got the handle off of the Big Dipper. Well, the last star, which is the beginning of the Big Dipper, that's the handle. I think it's Arcturus. I forgot. I looked up what the name of the star, and it's actually called the leader of the Big Dipper. From that star, all of a sudden, rays of glory, of orange, purple, emerald, greenish, bluish greenish, and then reddish, and then orangish reddish, just started coming from the star. So understand what I'm saying. I'm looking up at the star, and from the star itself, I mean, if the Northern Lights are a representation of the glory of God, it was like Yeshua, Jesus, actually went to this particular star at the handle of the Big Dipper, which I have to look directly up to see. And it's actually, he went to visit him, because out of the star, 360, like a bicycle wheel, like spokes, all of this glory came out of the star. It didn't come from over the north. It came from the star itself. In fact, my son took a couple pictures. For whatever reason, he couldn't get videotape, but he did get a couple of pictures. And so understand this, from where I'm looking directly up at the star, all of this glory, all of the Northern Lights go out in rays, 360, like a spiked bicycle wheel, like absolutely unbelievable. It's like never seen absolutely anything like it. I mean, it's like Jesus himself went and visited that star for some reason, and he just let his glory just shine. In fact, they saw the northern lights from Hawaii all the way down to Texas, and it was right above my head. Not only did I witness it, but two of my sons, they also saw it. And my one son, he doesn't believe the flat earth. It's a bridge too far, but he was saying that it must be that the sun magnetic showers or whatever they call the northern lights. He believes all that stuff because it must be something that where everybody looks up, they must see the same thing. I'm saying, no, son, no. But anyways, that is what I saw. And I got on the radio. I called Jimmy Jean's show Into the Microcosm, and I explained exactly what I'm seeing. In fact, my neck got so tired and crimped because I had to look straight up that I had to lay on my porch. Anyways, I called in, and you could probably hear me describe what I'm saying right now. But then I see a pinpoint of light, and it starts to move, almost like a UFO. It starts to move across where the star is at. It slows up, stops, and then shoots. And then I see another one, and it comes a different direction. And then another one, and then another one. I counted 17 of these little pinpoints of like UFO lights moving at different speeds, different angles. My son said, "Man, they must be satellites." I says, "No, they're not satellites. They're all going in different directions." It was almost like a whole host of angels were like guarding underneath this star, to where once I started to get my eyes off of the glory of the rays coming out, and I started looking around, I'm seeing all these little points of light moving back and forth underneath this star. So I just wanted to say, with that being said, it doesn't mean that what I'm about to tell you has got the mantle of, I'm not trying to start a religion here and, wear a white robe and saying I saw something that nobody else saw, but I actually did. But anyways, I'm not saying that this backs it up, but I do have to give that qualifier. I did see that, and I was really big into the little season at the time. And I did kind of think, maybe that was kind of confirmation that I had it right. So now I'm going to go into what I call the grand unified theory of everything, literally from us being the living beings, that we are the dead that did not live again until after the 1,000-year reign in Revelation 20, all the way up to the purpose of this life. That's why I call it the grand unified theory of everything. And the purpose of life, just go in and Google and take this down as a note. 94 Bible verses about God created all things from and for himself, for his pleasure. So if you think that you are here and it has to do with something about you, no, it does not. It's all about him. This whole grand creation, everything that he's done, it's all about him. I mean, he is God. He's the one that made it all happen. And so that's what it's all about. And so these are, and I will read through each one of these real quick so that you don't have to wait to get through all 15. I'm going to just race through them all like an index. So you're going to know what I'm going to say. And these are the 15 big secret revelations of the true reality of this earth realm. Okay, the first revelation, which I'm not going to spend any time on, but I'm going to just read right through them. So the first revelation is, of course, the earth is flat and enclosed. Either you get it or you don't. It's self-evident. I'm not going to spend any time on that. The second revelation is the 1,000-year reign, the physical 1,000-year reign of Christ has come and gone. All power and authority was basically given. That's the second revelation of the 1,000-year physical earthly realm. The third revelation is the rest of the fallen ones, or the angels that were swept out of heaven. In Revelation 12, 7 through 9, it talks about the great dragon swept a third of the stars and flung them to Earth. Now, I'm not talking about the 200 Watchers. I'm not talking about Lucifer, father of Cain, or of the Canaanites. I'm not talking about those fallen ones. I'm talking about the third that was swept out in Revelation. They never sinned with women. Why did they get cast to earth? We know of no sin they did. They didn't commingle or cohabitate like the 200 Watchers did on Mount Hermon with the Canaanite girls, the ones that wore loose jeans, and then turned into the Nephilim, the giants. What did they do? And so that's all we hear of them. They were swept out in Revelation. We don't hear anything more of them. Well, my third revelation is that the fallen ones are here among us, and that the same sentence that in the council of the gods in Psalm 82 that they got, you were eternal beings in the council of gods. When God comes and visits the council of gods and he berates them, you were supposed to watch over them and take care of them. And this is what you did. You took advantage of them. And he said, you shall die like men, even though you were eternal. And so the third revelation is the third of the fallen ones, the 33 million, are actually here among us. In fact, there's only one way you can describe the whole matrix of this world that we're in, is that you have to have a network like that. The fourth revelation is that these fallen ones that are among us have started mating with human women. And of these 33 million, they have produced tens of millions of what you would call hybrid or serpent seed line, or some people call them reptilian human hybrid mixed. They are of the serpent seed line. And I'll tell you where you can find them. You can look at them. You can look it up yourself. You can catch them at will. No question about it. But the fourth revelation is there are millions and millions of them. And they're just not metastasized in the little hat people, the tribe people.
Mhm.
They're not just there. They're in all different races, black, white, they're Asian. These children of the fallen one are all over the place. And I'll go into that. That's the fourth revelation. The fifth revelation, jumped. Let me back up. The fifth revelation, and this is going to be the hard one, in which I'm going to probably get the most pushback. But Enoch talks about there's three type of the dead. He says they're the dead of the righteous. In fact, he goes into the upper and lower chambers of Sheol and hell and Hades. In fact, there's like 6 type of hells, and I'll go there and I'll tell you where you can get that little clip on. This guy describes all the different levels of hell and what they're about. But Enoch goes into them, and he goes, there's an upper chamber, which is combined with 2 chambers. The one upper chamber of Sheol is for the righteous. Then the lower chamber of the upper chamber is of the sinners. And Elon talks about there will be a day of the sinners. And that is the vast majority of the dead are the sinners. And then there's the lower 2 chambers of Sheol, and one is for the wicked. And then the fourth, the lowest chamber of that second lower tiered chamber is of, we think, the fallen ones, where they're held. But anyways, so the fifth revelation is that we are the sinners. I'm going to make the argument that the 20 to 55 billion souls that were born, and there's people that done the math. In other words, there was about 1,700 years between creation and the flood. After the flood, I think there was another something like 4,500 years or 4,000 years or whatever. And we lived longer. Anyways, some of these Christian statisticians have got out, and they started to calculate how many children people would have, and how many actual souls were actually born before Jesus was born. So when Jesus was born, there's 5,500 years before that, in which there was tons of souls born. These statisticians, they have laid out on what they think the numbers are. and they think it's anywhere between 20 billion souls to the upper level of 55 billion souls were actually born before Jesus actually came to earth, was born and fulfilled his ministry and atoned the world. And so all of those souls, this fifth revelation is what I'm saying is, like it says in Revelation 20, the dead did not live again until after the 1,000 years. I think that we are part of the 20 to 55 billion souls that were born before Jesus, who didn't even know his name, didn't know nothing about Judaism, didn't know nothing about even Jesus's name, his mission, son. They knew nothing. That we were blessed because all authority and power were given to Jesus. After a man lives once, then comes judgment. When he went to hell, and I'll go into this, I think he made his judgment. And he says, by the way, you 55 billion, I double back for you. You all are going to get a chance. And so the fifth revelation is that we are the ones, we're the wicked ones. That's why we're all bad. We're all rotten. We're all bad. Like the Bible says, nobody's good. No, not one. We're all rotten. The heart is desperately wicked. And so I'm going to make the argument that we are the sinners now. That's the fifth revelation. The sixth revelation is our true timeline. And it's not the timeline that everybody's used to today. The little season people. They basically want to say that the timeline is from 1776, that Christ, New Jerusalem, withdrew to the north, the saints to the encampment of the saints, and that it's been 1776 when Satan was actually loose. Got the Statue of Liberty, the chain, and that was a sign. I'm going to say no. There's actually, the timeline is actually longer than that. And that some people actually believe, well, the timeline is 70 AD to 1070 AD. That was the 1,000 year. Of course, I'm a hyper literalist, so I do believe it was exactly 1,000 years. But I'm going to argue with that too, saying, no, that's not even the timeline. Anyways, that's what the sixth revelation is our true timeline, or what I think is. The seventh revelation is why Satan's little season is actually the final day of the great judgment. And so what I'm going to try to get you to understand is that from Revelation 20 to all the way up to Revelation 22, that's actually all together. That what Satan's little season is that it is the final day of judgment. It is what Enoch called the day of the sinners. We are all here. The fallen ones, the serpent seed line, their children are here. All of us that didn't get a chance, the 20 to 55 billion of us that were born before Christ and never even heard of Jesus or anything. We're all here. It's like it's all being played out. And I'm going to lay out that's what Satan's little season is all about. The eighth revelation is the two big whys. And these are the two big things that people become atheist, or they reject Christianity, they reject God overall. And you're going to have to hang on for 1 second. So what should I do? I'm going to let that go. So you just have to put up with the ringing. It'll stop ringing probably 2 or 3. That's my better half. That's why it's call from 1. Number 1. So it should stop. 1 more ring. And there we maybe 1 more.
I'm just impressed that you have a landline.
Yeah.
That's not something you really see much. I want to get one too, actually. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, we had it since I moved here. It was like 15 years ago. I was born actually on the East Coast, DC. I grew up in Virginia. And so I made the big, after getting locked up so many times, I finally made it to Florida. Every state I went to, I threw a letter out or whatever. So I got bopped a lot. Well, it must be important. Hang on one second.
All right. While he's doing that, any questions, guys, on what
Yep.
what he just said?
No, Earth is flat. I agree with that. I agree with a lot of it, but I'm hung up on the rest of the dead part. That's all. Because
Me
we
too.
see in 3 Baruch where I could read it where it says that they're going to be brought back with their memories, and the way they left is the way they're going to be restored. So it's a hard scripture to overcome.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
about
that's
the air?
good. Okay, that's good. Yeah, no, I'm ready for you, Kay. Well, let me get through these and then I'll get back.
Sure.
But I'm gonna fight you with the prophet Enoch as well, because he goes into that, and so that will be some good back and forth. So I expected some pushback on that one for sure, because the fifth revelation does get into a type of reincarnation. It does get into what a lot of people reject. Now, it's not reincarnation like Hinduism, but it's a reoccurring.
I've heard the arguments. I've heard it.
Right. We'll get
I'm
into
familiar with it.
Okay,
Yeah,
so the
and
sixth,
the verses they're using. Yeah, that's cool.
right.
I'm gonna mute
So
myself again
we'll
so
get
you can
into-
do your thing.
Yeah. Okay, so the sixth revelation is the timeline. It's not what we think. The seventh revelation, Satan's little season, is actually the great day. It's the final day of the great judgment. It's all kind of one. Revelation 8 are the 2 big whys, and these 2 big whys are the thing that causes people to either outright reject even a creator, let alone Christ or any religion. And that is, why does God allow evil in this world and he doesn't intervene? Why does he allow horrific things to happen to children, or like a genocide? Or how could he let the Muslims, close up a church and, in hatred for Christianity, put it on fire? And why didn't God do anything about it? So why does God allow evil in this world? And the second big why is life so unfair to most people? If you actually think about, like, I'm an American, so I get 3 meals a day. I get a couple of showers. I got electricity. But if you compare people in all different parts of the world, it really is unfair. And that doesn't even get into like mental and physical type of disabilities. And so the eighth revelation, or the 2 big whys, why God allows evil and why is life so unfair. And I'll go into that. The 9th revelation is, why didn't Jesus leave us after the 1,000-year reign? Why didn't he leave the King Jesus authorized Bible? Why didn't he take and wrap the whole Bible up at what he wanted in the Bible, and leave us this great book as, he withdrew New Jerusalem to the north or to the third heaven or whatever? Why the Council of Nicaea? And so then you have to start saying, well, who decided what was going to be in the Bible and who's not? And so the 8th revelation on the reason why he did not leave us the King Jesus authorized Bible instead of the King James, and why the Council of Nicaea had to put it together, and why there's a Mandela effect that's actually happening to the Bible and scriptures, as well as just the plain fact that the Protestant Bible has 66 books, which, by the way, it used to have the same number of books as the Catholics, which was 72. But because of printing reasons, they took out the Apocrypha about 100 years after the King James version came out, because it cost too much to print. It's too big or whatever. They come up with some reason and they just took it out. But the Catholics got a 72 book Bible. The Russian Eastern Orthodox, they have a 78 book Bible. Yeah, that's their Bible. Then there's the Assyrian Bible, which is, I think, 81 books. And then we got another Bible. Some say it's the oldest one, and that is the Ethiopian Bible, which is 88 books. And then while I was doing some of this research, I found out that the Council of Nicaea, and I'm probably not saying it right, but when they did the canon, that they actually threw out 64 other books. So literally, they kept the 72 and threw out another 64. So where's all that writing at? That's 122 or 24 book Bible. And so, anyways, I get into the revelation on what is the discrepancy? What is going on here, to where, we can see things changing. Everybody's got different Bibles, got different interpretations. Why didn't Jesus leave us the whole rolled up thing? And I get into that revelation. That's the 9th one. The 10th one is, and this is how we lost America. And I'm a baby boomer. I'm at the tail end of the baby boomer. So I'm in, like mid 60s. Baby boomers go from like 64 years old, 63, all the way up to 83, 84, 85. That's your baby boomer. But the reason why we lost America, and I had a front row seat, it was the elite. Now, I'm not talking about the baby boomers that get Social Security. I'm talking about the elite. And basically, it's the white, Christian, male, elite American baby boomers. They're the ones that caused us to lose it. They're the ones that just took their money, took their businesses, didn't organize us, and I get into, they were like the last generations that could have actually stopped all of these evil ones from taking over. And they should have been the guardians. And then the other group, which I really got in for, is the American pastors, the 300,000, the 400,000. And I think they're the ones that really, it falls at their feet, what happened and how they allowed the evil ones to take over. Now, I'm not saying it's their fault. It's their fault that they were not the guardians, and they didn't stop the evil ones. Like I say, a lion is an apex predator. We all know what a lion does. A lion's a lion, apex predator. A deer is a deer. Okay. A vulture is a vulture. A vulture's going to do what vultures do. Well, the small hats, the tribe, they do what they do. So, we can expect what they're going to do. The question is why didn't the American pastors and the baby boomers, those particular two groups, why they didn't stand in the way and stop all this evil, which now we are literally the satanic West now, with what's happened to us. Constitution gone, everything gone. And so that revelation is on how we lost America. And I chalk it up to the same 80 or 90% of the pastors that reject Christ's own words, that he actually came for that 1,000 years, built his kingdom, built out the infrastructure of the world, which also opened up this whole thing with the Zionism, and the special chosen ones and the whole third temple, all that stuff they dumped in our head, got us defocused on. That's the 10th revelation, how we lost America. The 11th one is our purpose in this little season. And to go into it, it's pretty much to be salt, light, but it's also about buying more time, trying to do what we can do to actually increase the amount of time before everything just goes wacky. In other words, try to extend more time. Let's see. But like even what Jesus said, if I tarry, what is that to you? In other words, he wants us to have more time. And I go into that revelation. That's the 11th one. The 12th one is the war of Gog and Magog, which I believe has raged hundreds of years. I think the war of Gog and Magog started as soon as Satan was released from the pit. But I don't know how, but somehow some kind of directed energy weapon, but he started wasting cities. He started creating religions, different religions. He started, well, all these wars. I mean, the war of Gog and Magog has raged for a long, long time. And in fact, I think it actually went hot on February 24th, 2022, when the Russian Orthodox Christians in Russia actually were forced to invade the Satanic West proxy war in the Ukraine. And I believe what you're seeing right there in the Ukraine is the actual beginning of the war of Gog and Magog going hot, which, by the way, the land of the Gog and Magog is not that far from Ukraine. It's not that far at all from the Ukraine, where the war is actually happening right now. So that's the war of Gog and Magog is happening right now. Revelation 13 is how will the final end and the takedown of humanity happen? And so it talks about Satan gathering up, the people of the plain of the earth who numbered like the sands of the sea. Now they want to say there's like 9 billion of us. Some people say now it's more like 3. Somebody did a count. So whatever, is still, most people can't count to 1 million. So it's uncountable. So we are like the sand of the sea, whether it's 3 billion or 9 billion people. But so how are they going to do it? How are they going to get humanity to go up against the encampment of the saints and actually to make war against the Most High, against his only begotten? I think it's going to be cell phones. I think it's AI. I think it's going to be 6 or 7G. And then also I think it's parasites or in our body. In fact, I heard one guy says that that's how demonic possession actually happens, is that they take the host of a parasite, and that the parasites actually get into your body, and the worm actually gets into your brain, and there's actually demonic entities that get into you, like the man at the tombs at the cemetery. I have Legion. We are a Legion. A Legion was 2,000 soldiers, 2,000 demons were in this guy that was, all chained up and broke his chains when Jesus commanded them to go out into pigs. So, the thinking is that he had like 2,000 parasites in him, and that these parasites all had a demon in them. And then the final, on Revelation, the 13th Revelation, is also alien disclosure. And I'm kind of in Paul Snob's Understanding Conspiracy channel theory, that once New Jerusalem is manifested and we see the floating city, that the world will react and saying that basically it's alien takeover, and that's the mother ship, and that we all got to attack it, sort of like the Independence Day type thing. Aliens have shown up, and now we have to defeat them, and it unites. So I go into that in Revelation 13, and then Revelation 13, it's my own little personal thing. I think friends and friendship is overrated, and I think at the end of the day, what it appears to me is we all walk alone, like that song from one of those rock groups. We all walk alone, Green Day or something.
Yeah, Green Day.
And then the 15th Revelation, I forgot, but it'll come back to me. It's not my notes, but I'm sure I'll hit back on it. But let me stop here before I start to go through each and every one. Is there any questions that you got? Did you want to interject? And how am I coming across? Am I talking too fast?
No,
you understand?
No, you're doing great. My question.
You're doing just fine.
Yeah. So, Revelation 13 was the how the takedown of humanity happens, and the alien disclosure.
Right. And no, we're on. My belief is that it's going to be through our cell phone. It's going to be through AI or ASI, artificial superintelligence. It's going to be the 5G, or now it's the 6G, or maybe the 7G, with all these towers. where they're actually going to be able to get into our minds. And I think that's what a lot of the data centers are.
It's going to
Not
be a
only
zombie
are
apocalypse.
Yeah.
They're
Okay.
gonna,
it's gonna be
they're gonna have
what?
a parasite.
Right.
Yeah.
They're literally gonna, those who are already giving themselves up, they're just gonna, they're gonna be able to fully control them with like a parasite through the electronics and through
Right.
all these data centers, and it'll be like a zombie apocalypse, except they'll be like smart flesh, not dumb, slow moving. They'll be able to, they'll think for them. They'll actually have action. There's a whole movement out there. And I kind of got that upload as They Are the Rest of the Dead, but that's a whole nother thing. A lot of your whys can be answered through the courts of heaven. Everywhere you said why this and why that, it's all part of the courts of heaven. I could explain that, but when we get to it, so I'll let you keep going.
Well, that's good. Okay, we're on the same page because I do get into what I call the council of redemption and judgment. That there is actually we are co-rulers with Christ, and it actually goes into: will you not judge angels? You judge yourself. In other words, there is a council or a some type of court, like you say, of judgment, where
There's definitely a court. We see it in Job. We see it throughout Scripture. We see it in Revelation. The 24 chairs. There's a reason. It's a set up standard. There's a reason why they use certain verses, like Satan, the advocate, the accuser. Why Jesus is called the adversary. If you look at those words in Greek, they literally translate to prosecutor and like defense attorney in modern day terms. They're still used. So everything it has to do with the court. We don't get a lot of information on the court. So we have to put it together on why the court is doing what it's doing. But the fact that it all ends on a judgment, there's no doubt it's all about the court. The Great White Throne Judgment is where one world ends and the new world begins. And then why is that event the catalyst? They call it the consummation of times. That's end of the harvest.
Right. And it goes into in Revelation 20, where the saints they get thrones and they are set up over cities, and they get different authorities.
Yeah, I can explain that. I could explain that. I don't know. We've been kind of feeding our group in stages because we don't want to overwhelm them with everything, but they're probably ready to hear it too. So anytime you want me to hear what I have to say, it's fine, but I want you to talk. So I'll mute myself again and let you do your thing. And
right.
If you want me to.
Right. That's the fifth revelation about who we are. And I go into the council or the courts of heaven, and these thrones and different things that the saints are on, and they are actually evoking judgment, not only on us and on our lives, but they're also evoking judgments on the fallen ones and the hybrids. In other words, they are co-rulers and co-judgment authorities in the heavens, and it actually talks about that during the 1,000 years where they set them all up, and they didn't set
there's courts, plural. There's more than one court, but the final judgment has to do with the second death. It's the permanent death, and also the right to have immortality, to live on past that. That's the Great White Throne, where the books are opened, and then the Lamb's book. But yes, there is judgment going on all the time in heaven, and he is using his righteous ones to assist in that.
Yeah, absolutely. I get into it. And I told Tony that this might go to part 1, part 2, part 3, maybe, but that's the fifth revelation. So we get into that back and forth. But let me try to rip through. Well, the first one is easy. The earth is flat and enclosed. Either you get it or you don't. There is no curvature. I'm not going to waste my time. It's self-evident. Besides that, anybody that's a flat earther, the first thing they do to become a flat earther is you get mad and you say, I'm going to debunk this nonsense. And then you try to debunk it. And about 3 weeks later, with very little sleep. You finally click the last time you clicked the button on the computer, and then you finally rest and you go, daggone, the earth is flat. Unbelievable. You finally say, so I'm not going to go into the first revelation. The second one is the 1,000-year physical reign of Christ has come and gone. And so, the way I look at this, not only do I use the words of Christ, you'll see my return. There'll be people here that will not taste death. Or when Cyprus slapped Jesus on the cheek, and Jesus says, I tell you the truth, you'll see the Son of Man come in his kingdom in great glory, and those who pierced him. So it's a 1,000-year physical realm. I'm a hyper literalist, and I believe that it was actually the 1,000 years. So what I do is I triangulate. You not only have Jesus's words as well as other scriptures that I base what I believe off of, but also the second leg is you got the physical evidence. You've got buildings, you've got maps, there's lots of other physical evidence for this 1,000-year reign. And then the third thing that I triangulate off of is, does anybody ever stop and say, why would he do that? Why would Jesus come with his kingdom, and it's supposed to be the day of rest, and he decides to use his 1,000 years to basically build out the infrastructure of the earth? So that's how I think. Why would he do that? Why would he spend 1,000 years building out a grand, glorious, and if you see some of these really older maps, I mean, the earth was built out through the Amazon, throughout Africa. You should see Siberia. Siberia was all built out, everything, even parts of the rim of the Antarctic was built out. Why would he spend 1,000 years doing that, to build out literally the infrastructure of the entire earth? And then you ask another question. Why would he bind Satan for that 1,000 years? Why wouldn't he just throw him into Hades? Well, what I'm saying is that, so I'm trying to get into the third way I think is, you stop and you think, why? And
one thing answers all of it. That's what I'm trying to say. It will cover every one of those. And it's pretty simple. It's all the law. And what I mean by it's a court of heaven. Throughout, we had witnesses, we had testimonies, we had books being written, we had law being passed down. But ultimately, what's coming at the end is a judgment. In order for if there's a judgment, that means there's a court session taking place because the judge has to rule. The millennial reign was Jesus, that 1,000 years, that was Jesus's final arguments to show the judge that man could be peaceful, we could do it without weapons, we could prosper, we could multiply across the earth like Adam was commanded to do without interference. That's why Satan was locked up for those 1,000 years. The deception time, the little season we're dealing with, and all this evil. Why is God not getting involved? Why are they eating babies? All of it, right? That's because now we're in the period of time where it's the devil's closing argument before the judgment, before the judge rules. He's making his argument. They forgot all that. Look at all they think about themselves. They're only greedy. It's not fair. It's a loaded gun. I mean, we're covered in parasites, but then also we're told in scripture, like in 2nd Ezra, but this is the test he's given us. And the earth puts us out. The earth's womb delivers all of us at our intended time. So for whatever reason, we weren't born during the 1,000 years, and we weren't born before that, and we're able to have the chance to be saints. You and I are born at the exact time to figure out the little season, to get it right, and to go through our trial by fire, because Ezra literally told them, this is not fair, because it's not about fair. It's about the test you were given and whether you're gonna pass it or not. You're like to be gold passed through fire. That's us.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'm glad you're here because this dovetails into speaking on the why, he spent his 1,000 years going nuts, building out the whole infrastructure of the world. What is the first two things that God said to Adam to do? He told him to do the two first things out of God's own mouth to the first Adam, to Adam. He told him to
first
do
he told,
two things.
don't touch the tree. Okay. And then, I mean, if we're going to get into the first things, and of course he named all the animals. Are you talking about what he did with after he got his wife?
Be
What-
fruitful
yeah,
and
sure.
multiply.
Okay.
Right. God, he said, be fruitful and multiply. But then which Adam didn't have a problem with that. We had a lot of people, but it was the second commandment that Jesus fulfilled that Adam did not. God said to Adam, and take dominion over the whole earth.
Well, he
When
had
Jesus came,
right. How did he lose
what
it?
I'm saying is,
What I'm trying to
what I'm
get
saying
at
is that
go ahead. Yeah, I'm not. I mean, if you want me to say it, I'll say it. A jealous angel planted a plant in his garden, and God got mad because you didn't have a right to put anything in my garden, and he cursed that angel and his plant. Now, the devil gained his power over Adam when he talked Eve into tricking him into eating of that curse. And when he did that, he gained the power over death. For surely God said, if you eat this, you will surely die. He wasn't talking about his physical. He's talking about his second death, his spiritual death. And we all most certainly will surely die because of his actions. But second Adam came in and upheld the law, did what he needed to do, and he overcame and took that power back. He claimed that power of death. That was the whole point in going back down into Hades during those 3 days. And and we hear about that in the Gospel of Nicodemus. He triumphed. He knocked the doors off its hinges. Hades was calling Satan a fool, but it didn't matter. He got power over death. There's only one person ever walked the earth that has that ability. There's only one person, well, God and him in heaven have that ability. He took it back for us. But that's when he became the adversary. I mean, not adversary, the advocate. That's when he said, hey, I could represent you. And this is all to do with the courts of heaven. So he's showing it's all about the courts of heaven. It has nothing to do with you or me. And it's not about his happiness. And it's all about the law. Because he's doing things he probably didn't feel good, but he did it because he had to fulfill that law. Because everything goes before the Father. I mean, it's really all about the courts. So why is the devil so nasty? Why do they do that? Because their offspring, which is by the billions probably and not the millions. Because if 200 fallen angels had 409,000 giants that were killed in the flood, I imagine 33 million angels probably got a lot more offspring. And then
there's a whole network. Yeah.
There's
worldwide.
a whole network. And the whole point of extending their lives is through the torturing of little children. And we know all those horrific things. We don't need to go into it.
Right.
But that is to extend the lives of their children, their offspring, because they're hybrids. And the whole game is played. The whole torturing of their kids and splitting their heads and is so that their own children could fit inside their new children and have multiple personalities. It's sick. It's a sick setup. But the bottom line is he's only given that authority because he has to close that court case. What happens if he says, no, I'm done with this. You're going in chains. Now we got a mistrial. We got to start over? No,
Okay.
the devil's got to finish his argument so the judge can judge. So unfortunately for us, we're living through probably the worst time to ever be on this planet. Because I can handle dying, but being a slow death, that sucks. Waking up and but the bottom line is really all to do with the courts. Good. I'll let you talk. Okay.
Yeah, I like what you said about the law, because the first two things that God told Adam to do was be fruitful and multiply, which Adam seemed to do that. But the second thing, take dominion and power over the earth. When Jesus came into his kingdom, I'm sure he thought, well, wait a minute. I know what God told the first Adam to do, but he didn't do the second one. And so that's one of the things that he did do. Jesus did take power and authority and dominion over the earth. He built the whole infrastructure out. In fact, here the evidence is for it. Anybody can, if they want to take a look, they can look it up. And this is in Revelation. This is the second revelation about the 1,000-year earthly kingdom. We all know about the old maps. Now there's an old map that it says I-280, and that old map, I haven't seen it again, but it had all of Siberia built out, cities all along it, had cities and towers all throughout Africa, all throughout South America. Literally, the whole world's infrastructure was completely built out. And you can see it in these old maps. Then we have all of the old buildings and cities. Well, just go look at, take any country, Honduras. Take a look at Honduras Museum of Arts or some other government buildings or whatever. Look at the Japanese Diet or their Congress. That's a building that's built like the Parthenon. That's in Tennessee. That's in Rome. Literally, the old world buildings and cities, literally everywhere. You got worldwide canals and highways. So you think of a canal, what it takes for a canal, and you thought, well, wait a minute, we didn't get the bulldozer until about 1928. And I think that's when they had the first real bulldozer. And I think it was off the model of the first tank that we got. That was the first bulldozer. There literally, if you look it up, there was 300,000 miles of canals everywhere in the United States, all different cities, everywhere. There was canals everywhere built out. The Panama Canal, they just didn't dig that. They redug that out after the flood, after the mud flood. There was canals everywhere. There's a 3,000-mile canal in China. Anyways, all these things were already done. He built this whole world out. You think about the breadbaskets of the world, including the Great Plains. Now, if you take a look at the Great Plains, you think to yourself, such rich black farmland, miles and miles of it from Nebraska, Oklahoma, all the way over. You got to go all the way across. Literally the breadbasket that fed the world at one time. And why wasn't it full of trees? Why was it full of 60 million buffaloes? Why were 60 million buffaloes there? Why that breadbasket? And then we find out all across the earth, Christ, and during his 1,000-year reign, not only did he build these canals and built out highways, but also the breadbaskets of the world. And the Ukraine is a breadbasket. Russia's a breadbasket. The Canadians, they got their breadbasket. You got one in Angola is a breadbasket. In Iran, another. And then you get into like the rice fields, whole mountains terraced in all of Asia. You go into the Philippines or China, you'll see a whole mountain terraced all the way down, like 3,000 levels, that where they grow rice, where they could grow ice. Think about the oceans at one time. When you read back into the 16th and 17th century, these guys, when they had to go fish, all they had to do was throw their net overboard and they got it. Jesus stocked the oceans out. He not only made all the breadbaskets of the world, built out the buildings, the cities, the infrastructure. He stocked the oceans. In fact, the oceans were so stocked that there were so many whales that for 100 years, mankind used whale oil like we use oil today. I mean, he set us up. He set this whole thing up to make sure that we could live long, live good. Think about the vast forests that he planted. For instance, in the Appalachian Mountains, there used to be what you call American chestnut tree. Now it's actually older than the sequoia. And the American chestnut tree even though it only grew to about 130 feet, it grew like 30 or 40 feet in diameter around, and it was chestnuts. And a full 1/4 of the Appalachian Mountains was those trees, something like 9 billion trees before they got the blight. They said these trees, if you actually go through Appalachia, you'll see buildings, you'll see fences, you'll see barns, you'll see homes, all built out of the split rail, old chestnut, American chestnut trees. In fact, the chestnuts fed the floor of the Appalachian Mountains. When all those families came, they all had jobs. They all had lumber mills. They all had access to all those trees. Infrastructure completely there. In fact, they said you could send a child out in the morning. He could gather enough chestnuts in a bag to where then he could go to town and he could buy himself a set of clothes or buy himself a shoe. Just a child gathering up the chestnuts. He set the whole thing up.
We were pretty decked out with infrastructure, with airships. There was either submarines, I mean, as early as the 1400s as guaranteed proof, but probably earlier than that. The great cables that stretch across the oceans, they were all said they put them in the 1800s. Cables hundreds of miles across the ocean, thousands of miles, at up to depths of 15 miles deep. It's ridiculous to think that we did that in the 1800s. It was all infrastructure that we inherited. And yeah, we told every one of us on the channel agree, all 100%. He did it all out like Adam was commanded. That was exactly what he showed it could be done. And that was part of his closing argument, to show God that man can do it. We look at the way we fought after the millennial reign ended. We all lined up like chess pieces out in the field and, fired at each other like we were playing a game, wearing parade outfits with feathers and no armor whatsoever, like a gentleman's war. It's because we lived the millennial reign and nobody knew how to make war with those outfits and the weapons, and so it was obvious. But that also makes me feel like it took the devil some time to build up to the point where he can actually have a real battle, because he's working with some pretty green recruits at that point, when you think about it.
Oh yeah, well that gets into the 7th or 8th revelation about the timeline. We have something to talk about, but to finish up the number 1, the second revelation is that he planted all those trees, the great Northwest forest, all the timber from Siberia, all the bread baskets of the world, the rice fields. I mean, he really went to town, stocked the oceans full of cod, fish, everything, just blessed us overall. And so you stop and think, why did Jesus spend his 1,000 years? He spent his 1,000 years honoring his father by fulfilling the commandment that God gave to first Adam, which Adam did not, and that was to subdue and take dominion over the earth. And so he completely built out the infrastructure of the earth. And so what Adam failed to do, what they call Jesus' second Adam, he remembered what his father said, and he goes, I'm going to do this right. And man, he went to town and he just built he just went nuts. When you see some of these old maps, I mean, absolutely incredible. Just by and large, just unbelievable. So the third revelation, and Tony, I know that you are on a different clock. And so right now it's almost 8 o'clock my time, but I know it's getting late. So if after 1 or 2 more of these revelations, if you want to break it and then want me to come back for a part 3 and I can pick up, we can do that. But there's no way we're going to be able to get through all of them tonight. But so think about that. Let me do the third revelation real quick, in which I think you all are on board. And so the third revelation is the rest of the fallen ones, or the angels that were swept out of heaven. And that's in Revelation 12, verse 7 through 9. It says the great red dragon swept 1/3 of the stars and flung them to earth. Now we know the stars are in the Book of Enoch considered angels, a different type of being that we are. Sort of, we can't comprehend it. It's sort of like we don't understand what a jellyfish is, but we know it's a living thing. But it's not like us. Can't see it. So we don't. The stars, they say, are like angels. But the question is those third of those angels that were swept from the heavens, they didn't cohabitate with women. They didn't jump in the sack with the Canaanite girls, Lucifer's Canaanite children, serpent seed line. What did they do? So they must have done something in their heart. And that's all we hear of them. We hear them in Revelation 9. They're swept out. They're thrown to earth. We don't hear anything more about them. The 1,000-year reign of Christ has come and gone. And I believe that they are now here among us. In fact, I think when they were swept out, because there's evidence of so much tunnels and so many cities and things that are been built under the ground, I'm really wondering if those 33 million fallen ones were not designated to stay below the earth during the 1,000-year reign of Christ. Just like Satan was bound in a pit, they weren't allowed to go topside on surface. And they're the ones that built out a lot of the stuff that we see underneath the grounds and the tunnels and the cities, type of thing.
We get that in Isaiah where it talks about the child would be able to play on the adder's den and reach their hand or it might be play on top of the cockatrice's den and reach their arm into the adder's den. It's all references to serpents. And I think the serpents were underground, and the evidence is pretty clear with the cave systems. But yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, and totally. Then the other part about these 33 million. This gets into this guy, this fittest flat earther. He says everybody is fallen ones, and he says there are four different fallen ones that are living, four different actors and roles and this and that. But what he's doing is he's defocusing. People don't know it, and I'll get into the fourth revelation about the human hybrids or whatever. But he's got reptilian eyes. He's got snake eyes. All right, he's got anomalies about him, in which he's covering this up. But he does mention something that we were going to ultimately figure out. What he's done is he's jumped in, and he's what you call flood the zone in politics. You flood it with so much information or so many angles, nobody can think straight. But anyways, I do believe these 33 million that were swept and thrown to the earth, there was something about what was in their heart.
Yeah.
Not that they sinned with women like the 200 watchers, but something about them that they were rejected and they were cast down. But anyways, I think they get the same sentence as
scripture
the council of the gods.
The scripture refers to them, and this is the only clue we really get from Revelation. It was Satan and his angels. So they're included with him. So how they offended him, I don't know. We haven't discovered it yet on this channel. So if anyone knows, I'd love to know.
Guys, let's save the questions for the end. Let's let Hijacker just finish, because we're going to go way too late if we interject every time he says something.
But I think the sentence, right? I think the sentence for the 33 million that were fallen, that are here among us, I think they got the same sentence as the council of the gods in Psalm 82, when the Most High shows up, and the council, also archangels, fallen, what they will call God, small g, were there, and he pronounced judgment on them. He says, you were created eternal, but now you will be incarnated into flesh, and you will die like men. And that ultimately these fallen ones have been, their sentence was, okay, all right, now you got the judgment. So next, except you're not going to die. And so I think that's what's actually going on, and that is the network. If you actually take a look, how could you cover up the 1,000-year reign of Christ? could you cover up all of these 400 seminaries and all these schools? Not crazy, chosen people, chosen land type of political doctrine, which justifies daggone genocide. How could you cover up the shape of the earth? How could you come up with these big type of things? And this group of people that are in place, they're not doing it just for money. They're not doing it because they may get in trouble if they don't. No, they're doing it because they are all in. They are family. This is a family thing. So you got this whole network that's causing all these great deceptions all over the earth, about the earth, where we came from, history, Christ's 1,000-year reign, all the way right on down the line. You could only do it if you had like this third revelation, and that is the 33, basically a third of the 100 million, that 10,000 times 10,000 angels. That's where that number actually comes from, that they are actually incarnated. And of course, that has to do, and of course, if you here's some evidences for it, I'll rip right through them. There are literally hundreds of photographs and portraits of these people who are still among us. I mean, you can see old photographs of Nicolas Cage. You can see portrait of Zuckerberg. Some people call them doppelgangers. Other people say clones. You can see like the 9th century Pope Gregory or whatever. Looks
Hi,
like
Jack. Can I
Sylvester
just stop you for a
Stallone.
second? Can I stop you for a second?
Yeah.
I know we're short on time or whatever, but I wanted to bring something up. So in the book of Enoch, it talks about the fallen angels' offspring. Their lifespan is 500 years. So do you think that could have something to do with the multiple people that we're seeing? And there's also
yeah.
different books in the Apocrypha that talk about the angels in the firmament, which are the fallen angels, essentially. They can take on different likenesses. So sometimes they look old, sometimes they look young, and they can change the appearance as well. So
Yeah,
I'm kind of
shapeshifters.
they're
There's even an
shapeshifters,
angel.
exactly. So wouldn't you think that their children could have had some of those traits passed on, and that maybe the stars that we're seeing, the fallen angels or whatever, maybe
Yeah,
they are
that
actually,
gets into
some of
the-
them are offspring?
Yeah, that gets into the fourth revelation that they're their children. What I'm pointing to is that there's enough evidence with these hundreds of photographs and portraits that these fallen ones walk among us. Now, whether they do it through the drinking of blood or adrenochrome, how exactly they do it, how does an octopus shape shift to the actual color and texture of whatever it bumps up against, and you can't tell? I don't know how, but
I
there's
guess
also
my real
thousands
question
of
is in the Aramaic Peshitta, the rest of the dead is not in that text. So do you think that possibly that was added later to make us think that reincarnation is a real phenomenon?
Well, no, I'll get into that later on.
Okay.
On I think that's the 5th or 6th revelation. This third one, I'm just trying to lay out that these fallen ones are here. There are literally hundreds of videos of these people. They seem to have some type of shape-shifting ability. If you know what to look for, you can see it. The same with their children, you can actually see it. You got the testimony. The third thing, you got the testimony of literally thousands of people that have been witnessed over centuries, over the history in every country of blood drinking, covens, cults, the whole works. What's the thing that holds them? What could hold all those people together over all that period of time where you would get literally thousands of eyewitnesses and testimonies that we get throughout history of these people and these type of deep ritualistic type of satanic ceremonies, that type of thing.
Okay, I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. I don't quite agree with you on reincarnation. So as like us normal people.
Oh, no, it's not what you think.
Okay.
Right. It's not what you, when I get to that, it's not what you think. But anyways, if you take a look at this whole group, it's a worldwide group that's got to be in charge. In fact, the only way you can to cover up history and well, including Christ's 1,000-year kingdom, and the big lies of the earth. You have got to have this full-scale network, satanic, demonic, fallen one network in place that has control of all these different, and they love government. They love government. They'll keep expanding government to give each other jobs, especially their children, all the way down to the end. But anyways, yeah, that's the third one. But the fourth one, the fallen ones have mated with women, and they're what you call the serpent seed line. These are the hybrids. These are not the same as the 33 million fallen ones. These are tens of millions, or maybe Kay's right. Maybe there's a billion or more, but there's a lot of them. And you can find the same revelation about the fallen ones as you can about their children. Self-evident. In fact, you can know them by their fruit. They're self-evident by the way what they produce in their life. They don't work. What do? They control money. They control people. They make sure whatever they do, they grab control. Their personal life usually is a disaster. Look at the systems they set up: enslavement systems, Federal Reserve, the way they set up the fiat money, everything they set up, and everything they build to govern is for control. And you can also get them, see these people on videotape, shape-shifting, reptilian eyes. I've seen Billy Graham, straight up and down, snake-eyed pair. Not Franklin Graham, Billy Graham, Pat Robertson. Could never figure out when I was in politics, especially with the Christian Coalition, why would they do this? Why is it always set up like a pyramid? Why is this all about money? Why is he backing up a pro-abortion person like Giuliani, at a critical time, trying to
tell you
throw
something?
Whole blocks of conservative? Go ahead.
So I grew up going to Pastor Chuck Smith's church out Calvary Chapel, California. And Jeffrey Epstein actually was at that church, and he approached me.
He's said off.
Am I not supposed to say that? Did I say something I shouldn't say?
I think we should just let him finish, and then we'll ask questions at the end. No, that's okay.
I'll be quiet.
Just because we'll be here till
Yeah. Just agreeing with him. It's all the churches.
We knocked off the air.
Hijacker, your
Lights
audio
going,
cut out
so
again.
I think I'm on camera. Can you hear
you're
me?
back. You're back. No, you're frozen again. I guess they didn't like what you were just talking about.
Okay.
All right, you're coming back.
So you can hear me pretty good?
Yeah, you're back. You're back. You're
okay.
you're-
What we could do, Tony. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you're all broken up. They're interfering with your signal.
The fourth.
All right, I think we lost him again. Hijacker, jump off and come back in, because you are frozen again. Do you guys notice that earlier when he said Jesus, right when he said Jesus, he got cut out? Sorry, I muted. I think you're muted, Kay. I think I muted you.
No, I muted myself.
Oh, okay.
It's all good.
I just because we got like a 40-minute or 45 minutes late start. I wanted to just let him do his thing. You know what I mean? That's why I love that you guys ask questions, but I want to let him get through his presentation. All right, Hijacker, you're back in. I'm going to put your other
What I think, Tony, maybe we ought to break it and do a part 2, because I know it's getting late on your end. So we can
Okay.
stop it at the 4th, and we can pick it back up. It seems like the bandwidth. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. You want to go? You want to get through number 5?
Okay. Okay, as long as it says low network bandwidth. So if you can hear me, okay. When you can't hear me, say something.
Yep, I'll let you know.
Okay, yeah, and to finish up the 4th one, about basically the fallen one's offspring. And so if you take a look at that, you can see that everything is inverted, a lie, it's satanic in its basically objectives. And so this is a whole second class of people. Now, to get to Revelation 5, here's the hard one, and the hard one that everybody's going to have a hard time with. And the Revelation 5 is in the book of Enoch, 3 types of the dead: the righteous, the wicked, and the sinners. And so there's different chambers of Sheol, 2 separate chambers, and each one of those has got 2 chambers. Anyways, the upper chamber, that's where the righteous are. The chamber below that are the sinners. Then one chamber below that, in the second chamber, are the wicked. And then the chamber below that are the fallen ones. And there's actually a channel that has all 5 in them. But my argument here is that we are the dead that did not live again until after the 1,000-year reign. We're a part of the 19 or 20 billion souls, all the way up to 55 billion, that never got a chance to accept or reject the gospel of Christ. And Christ's own words says, everybody gets a chance. Everyone. It's God's will that no man perish, nobody die. There is only one way to salvation. And this is the other big problem that people have, is that as far as other religions, Jesus says, I'm the way, the truth, the life. No man comes to the Father except by me. I am the only way. I am the door. That's it. And what is the only way to Christ? Is through faith. You got to do it by faith, which means what happened. This is what I think happened. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
What I think happened is, I think when Jesus was crucified, all power and authority were given to him. He then descended into Sheol. He kicked open, literally, the gates of hell, and he let out the righteous. That was a given. David, the prophets, that type of thing. But then I think he went into the chamber of the sinners. And I think in fact, it talks about in Sheol that there was a great light, and it was the light of men. And he showed up, and it was the hope. And I think that 20 to 55 billion souls saw him. And he says, look, you all are going to get a chance. But first, and all power and authority is given to me, by the way, and I'm making a judgment. You all have lived your life, but now I'm giving you a judgment. You all are going to get a straight up chance. Now, all of you believe in me now because I'm a 1,000-foot tall being of light, and you're here in this dusty, dark chamber, which I just woke you all up. So yeah, you all are going to bow down and worship me, but that's not what I want. I don't want a bunch of robots. You all are going to get a chance. And the only way you come to me is by faith. And that's in duality. You all are going to get your chance at accepting or rejecting. And it's not only those people that are going to get a chance, but all the babies that have been aborted, all the children that have been killed before they got a chance to accept or reject, the pig farmer in China that only knew Buddhism and didn't even know the name of Christ, who lived a couple hundred years ago, he never got a chance. Muslims that grew up in an all Muslim culture that never even knew about Jesus or heard about him, or some Iraqi that did hear about Christianity and thought George Bush, the horned one, that blew up his family, that he was a Christian, and he's not going to reject that. He's not going to accept Christ. You think the choir boy, after the priest abused him, you think he's going to grow up and accept Christ? No, you all are going to get a straight up chance. And that's what gets into the other words, the fifth revelation, is that's who we are. And if you actually take a look at human nature, if you take a look at people, what do? We only do things out of our own personal self-interest. Think about everything that you do. It's because it benefits you. Think about when's the last time that you actually, which by the way, Jesus told us this is the way. You all to live godly, you're going to be persecuted. Pick up your cross and follow me. Lay down your life. Everything he says goes against our actual nature. If you actually take a look at our nature, we really are selfish people. And that is basically the way we're wired. That's why the Bible says all men are liars. Or like when the guy walked up to Jesus and he recognized him as a man, but as a teacher. And he said, good teacher. Jesus says, whoa, slow down now. Slow down. Don't call me good. Because Jesus knew that guy was looking at him like a normal human being. He says, no man is good. Jesus says, nobody. We're all rotten. We all know it. I mean, I know I'm rotten. We're all rotten. I know it. We are the day of the sinners that Enoch talks about, that we're given a chance. And so Jesus, out of his own words, says everybody gets a chance. And so what you have to account for is all the people that did not get a straight up chance to accept Christ as their Lord and Savior, accept the gospel. All of those people are going to get a chance. Everybody. And that's what this day is. That's why I think this is the great and final judgment that Kay talks about. I think we're all here. All the judgments are going down. Everybody. In fact, it's gotten to the point now, if you think about Jesus' story, it's almost to the point to where even the Aborigines or the Amazon tribal people, they can click on their cell phone and find out about the story of Jesus. It's almost to the point to where everybody's getting their chance. But then this is what I think what Kay was talking about, or the council or the court. What are all these thrones and co-judgments and co-rulers that Jesus set up during his 1,000-year kingdom? It even talks about, and the things that were written in the books of both the good and the bad, they were judged out of these. And also, see a separate one, also, there was another book open, which was the book of life, whose names was in it. Well, wait a minute. You got a book that talks about people's works, whether they be good or bad, and they will be judged. And so what this fifth revelation is, and this would go along with how people perceive some reincarnation, is that also the unfairness of it is, why is it that certain people have a harder go than others? And I actually do believe that what I call the council of the council of redemption and judgment actually rule. So let's take a girl named Lisa. She grows up in a broken family. Her dad does some bad stuff to her, messes her head up. Lisa grows up at about 13, 14 years old. She learns what the boys want. She goes along with it. She ends up with some hooked up with some kid at 18 years old or whatever, and then you know, he's dealing drugs. She gets into drugs or whatever. He gets busted. He goes to court, and then she gets into meth, and then she finally gets in the horse. And so Lisa bumped into somebody that talked about Jesus on the street a couple of times. She was too drugged out to even know it. And then at 31 years old at a Motel 8 or Motel 12, Lisa died with a needle sticking out of her arm at 31 years old. Now, can anybody tell me that did Lisa get a fair chance? Right from the get-go, she was already abused, then she was on drugs, and then next thing you know, she OD'd, and it was it. That's not fair. And I think that's what that council of redemption and judgment does. I think saints sit upon it, and as you die, I think you go before them, and they take a look at your life, and there's only one question they ask themselves, the one command that Jesus said when he went down to Sheol to rescue, and the Bible does talk about the sinners of Sheol being rescued. In fact, if you do a study on Sheol, it talks about God says, I can put you in Sheol, I can pull you out, and I can put you down again. It goes into a lot of different scriptures about the sinners in Sheol. But I think you go before this council of redemption and judgment, and they take a look at your life and you go, you know what? You didn't get a fair shake. There's no way that you actually got a chance. I mean, you are a choir boy of a priest. No wonder your head's messed up. You never had a fighting chance. Now, some of the most people that do get caught into the deepest sin become some of the holiest people. But by and large, a lot of people, they don't get a fair up chance. And that's what I'm saying. That's what this fifth revelation is. And then you will come back, except you're going to have a little bit harder time this time. You're going to have a few more things thrown in your way, a few more little hardships to actually get to the saving knowledge of the truth. But you're going to get a chance. And so it's what Enoch talks about, the day of the sinners. And in fact, I'll have to get it later on in my notes, but the book of Enoch actually talks about wiped out memories. You got in the book of Jeremiah, I think, Esau I hated, Isaiah or Israel I loved. Well, this is when they were born in the womb. Why? Because God knew about Esau. He already knew what was lingered in his heart. And so and if you take a look at people's human nature, the development of their personalities, you can see. And then you got all the stories of hundreds, literally thousands of children. Remember reincarnation. Remember, I came from this village, or I used to be that, or used to be this. And so what I'm saying in this reincarnation is you get as many lives as you all the way up to the point to where you live a life in which at that life you come fully square to actually have an encounter with God, with Christ, and actually get a fair chance. You're not some 12-year-old Nigerian girl who's going to be married to a Muslim man, a Muslim guy, 60-year-old, hardly even hear about Christianity except other Muslims talking about those people down there that go to the building with the cross. You never even get a chance. Is that fair to that Nigerian 12-year-old girl? No, she's going to get a chance. Everybody gets a chance. In fact, Christ says it himself. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I want all men to be saved. This is the only way you come. It's exclusive. You're not coming any other way except through the doorway of Christ. And so that means a whole lot. And so if Kay wants to jump in here now, he can. And I'll look at my notes. Can you even hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. All right. So let me just scroll down through some of my notes. And so this is good. This is very disturbing. for people to think about it. But like, let's just think about babies that have been aborted. Now, I heard one Catholic, this is when I was an activist. In fact, I wasn't allowed to go to protest abortion clinics because I kept talking to God about, well, suppose that thing's not there in the morning, and then no babies will be killed. There's a couple things I could do to make sure that this structure is no longer there. And he told me early on, nah, you're no longer allowed to protest. You're off the protest line, buddy. You got bad ideas. But anyways, so think about this Catholic told me that, all the aborted babies are going to be like a crown. They're going to be floating babies like a crown above God's head. No. To have all of those human beings, which over 1 billion, I think somebody said there's 1 billion in the last couple of years, aborted babies, that they're not going to get a fair chance. Those babies floating a God, that would be a crown of his shame that he was not able to fulfill his word, that all those lives that he had predestined and set up and gave them a chance at free will to whether they were going to be saved or not. None of them got a chance. What about all them? God's not going to have some crown of floating little babies that were aborted. No. Or children that lost their lives. I mean, so many categories that when you start to go down the checklist, it only makes sense. We've had other lives in which we didn't get a chance. And now people like us, this is it for us. If you've fully heard the gospel, you fully understand it, in which we run into people all the time. They're not Satanists and they're not believers, but they want to live their own life. They're just selfish. They're narcissistic. They're selfish. They don't want anything to do with God. They got their life. They're not kneeling to nobody. They're going to take their life and they're going to live a hedonistic way. Okay, you got your chance. That's it. You didn't want God in your life. You had a chance. You heard. You know the story. The fact is, you wanted to go the selfish way. Now, some of them go to the dark side. They actually go to get involved in Satanism, and they want the money, the wine, women, song type thing, and so they go to the dark side. But everybody's going to get a chance, and I think that's why Christ set the 1,000-year reign up. That's why he built out the infrastructure of all these different cities, so that he knew that once we were born on this earth, that if he didn't have all these cities and all these systems set up, ocean stocked, bread baskets, all the rest, roads. In fact, you want to know the greatest savior of men physically, the greatest thing, the greatest invention that saved men more than anything else, saved literally hundreds of millions, if not billions of men. One invention. It's the wall. It's the wall. In other words, he built all of these walled cities, castles, structures to keep the men creatures from killing each other. He knew that once we were born, he knew we were all rotten. He knew we were going to rob, rape, steal, kill. He knew what was in our heart. And so he built up a structure that, okay, it's like, how did they stop the Mongols, the Poles? How did they finally stop the Mongols from overwhelming them? Well, the Poles figured out we just need to fall back into these great castle cities, walled cities, which were already built. And then that's the way, once the Mongols, they tried to overload them or whatever, they finally ran into the walled cities, and that was it. They put them under siege for a little while, and that was that. And then they went back home. By and large, you see all these different invasions or whatever. Take a look. Look at the way he set the continents when he separated Pangea, and he separated all of the continents. What was he doing? He was separating us from each other, because he knew, get too close in proximity, you're going to start wars. You're going to start killing each other. Take a look at the Strait of Hormuz. It's like a little trigger. He separated that body of water from the Persians, from the rest of them. And look, just that one little thing. Look how it's kept men from killing each other. Yeah, I mean, we've bombed the Iranians some. They've killed a few of us, 16 or 30 or whatever they say, or whatever. But it ain't no World War II. It ain't like whole massive armies all clashing. It ain't like the Ukraine, where a couple million guys have died. No, just that one little geographical way he set that up to keep the men separate, keep them from killing each other, so that we actually get a chance to grow to a point to where, because I mean, you think about armies of old, they were armies of children. As soon as a king needed an army, go out and grab the 15, 16-year-olds, big enough to grab a sword, throw them in an army. They're not ever going to get a chance to hear about the gospel. They went from a farm to the king's army to death on a battlefield. Tell me, how did they get a chance? How did they get a chance? And it was God's will that they be saved. And God provided the way through faith in Christ. But you got to have a body duality. There's no way that somebody can tell me that when Jesus went into Sheol and all of the sinners saw this 1,000-foot glorious being of light show up, and he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Well, if I'm in Sheol, yeah, you are. Take me with you. Get me out of this dark place. I believe you. I believe you. What do you want me to do? I'll bow down. Sure. Get me out of this place. Nah, that's not faith. That's not by faith. And that's why also makes sense why Satan had to be released, because he knew all these people were going to circulate through, and they all had to get in duality. They had to be tested. And so in a way, he had set aside of Satan and his fallen ones for this great. I mean, if you actually take a look, who are the people that are in control of all the vices, the porn, the drugs? And I'm not talking about just the little hats, like the patriarch of Russia's Orthodox Church. He would be like the Pope. He's got stock in like tobacco. He's got stock in a vodka company, of hard liquor. I mean, I lost my train of thought, but what I'm saying is that all the vices and things, we're in a duality, and it's in this duality where you exercise the free will. So we're put here for multi different reasons, but I think it's to be tested, it's to be punished in these stinking bodies and all of the things that we have to go through, and then it's to force you to use your free will and to make a choice of what you're going to. So I know you're running almost midnight your time. We can stop it at 5, and I can pick it up at 6 later on, a week or so, whenever you want, Tony.
Yeah. I think this is a good stopping point, and I know maybe we could open it up for questions now, because
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, and Hijacker, that was amazing. Thank you. Appreciate you going through all that. It raises a lot of questions, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to have questions, especially about the us being the sinners released from Sheol. So I want to open it up, but first I want to go back to Heather and what you were saying, Heather. If you want to can finish that statement about Jeffrey Epstein, that was very interesting. If you want to tell us about that at your old church.
I'm scared it's going to get you shut down again.
Oh, well, maybe just say Mr. E.
I was just agreeing with him, with Hijacker, that I think a lot of the churches are involved, and most of them, at least the big churches and the big televangelists. So the person that runs Calvary Chapel Costa Mesa, I'm scared to say his name because I don't know if that got flagged. This was back in the day when I was
His
in
name
high
is
school.
James. Yeah, James.
Mr.
You're talking
Smith.
about James.
Mr. Smith,
Okay. All right.
C. Smith. I don't want to say his whole name. Y'all can look him up.
Yeah.
So I was in high school and J.E. approached me. He was there. And I didn't know who he was at the time. This was a long time ago. And he gave me a business card and said, I want you to come model for me or whatever. And then I noticed he was talking to all the pastors at this big church, this mega church, like they knew him. So my suspicion all along, once I realize that's who that was, is that agreeing with what you were saying, that they're all being manipulated by those certain people, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And they're probably getting money or something in return for allowing them to come in and reap some of the children that are in the churches. That's just my guess. So I was agreeing with what you were saying. It seems like it's all tainted and wicked. So,
Well, not only
That's
that, I look back through my Christian life and I realize because I didn't know the 1,000-year reign of Christ had come and gone, I lived a life completely messed up. In a sense, I almost feel like I wasted my life. I'll be honest with you, but by not having that piece of information, especially having this little hat people religion in my head, because I was like a super Zionist, super Christian Zionist, and so it just skewed everything, and just unbelievable. But to think that all those pastors, because it used to be like a turn of the 19th century, when you were a pastor, you got the calling. I was called. What do they do now? It's a profession. They go to school to get a job, to be a pastor, to get the paycheck and the home, and just look at the damage that the American pastors have done. They kept all of these grand deceptions from us. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable the amount of damage that they've done. I mean, I got to guard my heart all the time. I think I'm partially in sin because I'm so angry at them. I'm just angry as a group of people. I'm like really angry at them. They should have warned us. They should have organized us. They could have done anything. They just, anyways. Go ahead. Another question.
Yeah, so let's I want to talk about, and this is where maybe we'll ask Kay what he thinks about the and I don't want it to be I have to like marinate on this too, because I've never heard it about us being the sinners. You know, there's a lot about reincarnation, and a lot of people are not really on board with any type of reincarnation. But I'm relating to what you said, and it's very interesting to me, and it sounds very viable. What do you think about that, Kay?
John the Baptist was Isaiah. Jesus said plainly, he is Isaiah. Even though John the Baptist had a memory wipe, John the Baptist was asked, "Are you Isaiah?" He goes, "No, I'm the one to clear the way of the Lord." And then on the Mount Transfiguration, when they were coming down, the apostle says, "Well, then who's John the Baptist?" And John the Baptist says, didn't say he was the spirit of Isaiah. Jesus says plainly, look it up. Plainly, John the Baptist was Isaiah. And they did to him what they wanted to do and what they're going to do to the Son of Man. So that's just one occasion. But that was for like a special mission. But it's not reincarnation like the Hindus, that you're going to reach perfection. Well, in a way it is, because you're going to be you're reincarnated until you accept Christ, and then you become a new creature and you become eternal being through the blood of Christ. So I'm saying you get a point, you get to live a life all the way up to the point where you get a fair chance. That's the one thing Jesus promised everybody. That's the one thing the Bible says. God wants all men to be saved, and he gave away. So yeah, go ahead.
Well, let's address the American preachers. I don't think it was just American preachers. It was the Catholic Church, the Jesuits, and there was lodges. There was the Freemasonry. A lot of our pastors in this country are Freemasons, along with France, all over Europe.
40%.
So that add into John Darby, Cyrus Schofield, known Zionist, backed by big money. There's a lot involved in how the church just got hammered from within. So I won't play. I mean, it was a worldwide effort because they were organized.
Have you heard?
God.
Have you heard Charles Finney did you hear what Charles Finney said? He said that every single problem, whether it's civil, governmental, economic, all the problems come directly from the pulpit. The problem starts at the pulpit.
Yeah.
It's that guy. He's not doing his job. He's not watching. He's not warning. He's not educating. I mean, when's the last time that, you went to church and you said, oh, by the way, Pastor, tell me about the Freemasons or Illuminati. What happened on 9/11, Pastor? You don't hear nothing. Nothing at all.
Really comes down to is they teach us the people we're supposed to trust. So it's your pastors, it's your pharmacist, it's your doctor, and then they all have their own ways of controlling those groups and herding you into the direction they want you to go. It's pretty sad. But that's the easiest way that we got all deceived. I mean, I got 30 years into a Baptist church being brainwashed Zionists. I totally get it.
Yep.
It's,
Yeah.
And then you got to unlearn everything as you go again. And that's a challenge. It's, biggest one, you got to let go any anger you got. Just let it all go because you got fooled. And they're hurting people. But ultimately, God was still in control of everything. He really could have said, all right, we're done with this. No, he's letting them do it because they're making a point. That's all I was trying to say.
You're right. I got to let go.
Yeah, we all have to let go all that anger and stuff. Let him give us our hearts of flesh instead of stone. Work inside us. That's a battle, and it's not fun.
Yeah,
But,
I do.
yeah.
You're right. I got anger. I often think, if the power went out and we go into this catastrophic, as soon as that power is out, like the only thing I'm gonna be thinking of is where is that preacher man? Where is that white Christian male elite baby boomer that did this to me? I knew who did this. I knew who let this happen. So you're right. I got to let go of the anger.
Yeah, when it gets too
power
loud,
goes out, I start taking course.
When the anger in us gets too loud, we can't hear the Holy Spirit talking to us and leading us. So we got to relax.
I just see all the damage they did.
Yeah. Oh, it's disgusting.
Yeah, I just see the damage. Yeah, all the war, what happened, all the people in Palestine, all the stuff they did with the food, the chemtrails, just a whole corrupt mess. And they don't organize us. They don't even warn us. It's like, I don't know. It's got to be something. The Holy Spirit's going to have to be the surgeon to get this out of me because it's in me deep. I've just seen so much.
I got to sleep on the reincarnation thing, though. I know I heard the arguments, so I get it. But everything else, I mean, you're right here with our philosophy. Obviously, flat Earth. Obviously, we're covered in parasites because of the ones that were tossed down here, and I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of what you have to say because it's pretty much a lot of it's in line with what we're doing. I'm like I said, I can't speak for, he won't let this happen or won't let that happen. If I can't read it and I can't verify it, I don't trust my brain enough to try to go based off my feelings. Well, this is what he must be thinking. I can't do that. It's led me astray in the past. So I'll scour and pray over it. And then if I can't settle on it, I'll just say, okay, I don't know. And then just try to keep moving forward. But I try to find scripture usually verifies scripture always. If it's in most things that are important. So that's what we just got to do is just figure that out. But not saying you're not wrong. I'm just saying I can't prove you wrong or right. So I don't know, on how that works. Did he give all of them a chance? I would love to think so. Yeah, go ahead.
Of course, he's a loving God. Of course, he would.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why. You also know that there's that as far as a hell that is eternal torment. We know the nature of God. So when God gets ready to create a being, he knows all about that being when he creates it. He knows the beginning, the end. exactly about that being. I can't
Mhm.
see a loving God creating a being that he knows that's gonna be tormented forever.
You know,
So that's why I
Ezra had that
believe in
argument with him
annihilation.
too. He in Second Ezra,
Yeah,
he had that argument with the prophet Ezra. Ezra was Daniel's brother, same time period,
right.
Babylon, and you know he said the same thing. Lord, it's and then you know what his response to Ezra was? You love my creation more than me. In other words, he doesn't understand the heavenly things, and so that's where I'm in caution. Like I'm not going to try to guess what he's thinking because
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know either. I don't know either. That's all. This is just opinion, kind of what I've collected over a period of time.
Sure.
But
Yeah, there's a lot of evidence for the people having like memories of a past life. I mean, I haven't personally, but I know people that very sincere that they remember being a princess in a castle in the Middle Ages. Who am I to say that that's a lie or they're making it up? I don't know. And I see people in the chat saying that too. So the point is though that hijacker that I agree with you on is that we're definitely being tested. I feel that like in every part of my body, I can tell that this is a test. It's the only thing that makes sense, right? This is a chance for us to redeem ourselves and get it right.
Can we be handed a past life memory from somebody else? So I've seen that in chat, and the answer is yes.
Yes.
We get parasites all the time. I mean, I'm listening to God speak to me in my heart, and meanwhile, I'm thinking one thing, and I'm hearing two more thoughts that are very negative. And if you test with the fruits, they're not there. Then I'm praying over, help me shut these windows and doors that are allowing these parasites to influence. Well, what's to say that unwittingly we thought, I decided I was a Philippine woman at one time, and maybe I was a princess, but that could be fed to me. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that's the big question. Is it possible? Yeah, the devil could do not the devil, his network could do it, but um, I can't explain
well,
there's
there's
like I said,
so,
I don't have
so
all the answers. Yeah.
there's also soul groups. When I get into the timeline, I'll show where before we were Pangea, before we separated into the continents, that during the 1,000-year reign of Christ, it was Christ that actually established all of the tribes and the ethnic background, why people are Japanese, why people are Mongolian, why people are, in other words, why people are white, or why they're black, or why they're South Islanders or whatever. He actually set it up to where during his 1,000 years, he brought to manifest all of the different peoples on the earth, all of the different shapes and sizes and colors, soul groups, that type of thing. It only makes sense. The 1,000-year reign of Christ was like what he did was just like absolutely incredible. And so what you're left with is, why would he do all that if he knows it's just going to get wiped out right after that? There had to be a reason. See, that's what I do. That's what I'm saying. I try I trifect off of it. In other words, triangulate. And I'm thinking,
Right.
why would he do that? And the only thing I can come up with is he had to set this up because he knew, like even Satan's Little Season, people saying, well, it's only since 1776. Well, if you think about it, wait a minute, what is the season of man? Man got like 5,500 years, right? That would be the season of man, almost 6,000 years. So Satan's Little Season could be it. So why would he set that up, and then build out the whole infrastructure of the whole earth? Because he knew a whole gang of people were coming, and they had to get the right to basically accept salvation, get a chance to accept salvation. It's the only thing that makes sense. The only reason why he let loose Satan, why he built out the infrastructure of the world, he knew it. He knew we were coming, and he doubled back for us. I mean,
He
think
had
about
to
that.
release Satan in order for him to finish the role that he obtained for himself since the time of Adam. I mean, he had to finish the court case so that then, like I said, we could second guess it thinking in our own heads, but in the reality of things, heaven doesn't work like that. Heaven works off law, and it's a court system. That's why who are the people that are sitting in chairs that's mentioned in Revelation? They don't even give us names, and who are they? You know, but it's all about the courts. That's how they
Right.
get access to your life. Like your grandfather could have messed up, and because of that, passing his curse on to you, and now they have access to you through that. And there's a lot of people that there's a lot of evidence of that, and people that actually can break those generational curses by going to the courts of heaven and saying before him, like, look I'm not that person. And and so there's a lot to it. It's not just like just a little theory. There's a lot of people that are dedicated around the courts. Also, we know a brother who wants them to pay it all back. He's suing them. So it's an amazing thing. But yeah, I'm on board.
Yeah, the Apostle Paul even said, do you not know that you will judge angels? So there is some sort of court system up there. I think when we die, we go before the saints. And I really think that when they take a look at your life, if they think that you didn't get a fair shot, I'm thinking, like Jesus said, you separate the good fish from the bad fish. The kingdom of heaven is like, throw it back. Okay. Well, keep the good fish. You didn't get a chance. Throw them back. Throw it back. A lot of parables about that too, as well. But yeah, I'll pick up next time we do it. I'll pick up from where we left off here on number 5, because this is a hot topic, and the more people find out and start to think about it, because we all know, like, people, like, I had a friend, and this girl was 12 or 13 years old, and not a Christian family or whatever. Anyways, she was in the back of this pickup truck in South Carolina, and this guy guns it, and she was standing up. She went out off the tailgate, fell back, and snapped her neck, busted open her head. Gone. Never even had a chance to go to church. Never knew nothing. Gone. 13 years old. Talk about a busted up family. That was pretty bad. But yeah, and then you actually take a look at the way people are, and then also the very nature of Christianity. It's not a good road. It's a hard road. Pick up your cross. All those lists to be godly in Christ Jesus will be persecuted. Look, you have to lay down your life. I mean, it goes on and on. It's a way of hard when you actually have to make the decisions. It's like when I told my children, you're going to come to the point in which it's going to be a choice. The choice you make for your own personal self-interest, what you want to do because it benefits you. But then there's going to be choices in which it's either going to benefit you or it's going to be the self-interest of God. What benefits him? What does God really care about? Well, he cares about people. And so that's his self-interest. But I says, at some point, your life is going to hit where it's either going to be you live for yourself and your own self-interest, or you're going to live for the one, the creator, and his self-interest. And this is, that's where it's going to hit, and you're going to have to make that choice. And so when you think about it, living a Christian life is really, it's actually a hard life. Really is. So it's actually, you got to go against the grain, the natural flesh or your natural self-interest, I guess. But I didn't know if Tony had any more questions. I know he's coming up on midnight on his time.
Yeah, no, I'm just reading the comments. Like I said, you gave us a lot to think about, and yeah, let's pick this up next week, maybe, or whatever. We'll figure it out. But
Yeah, just let me know.
yeah, no, so for the people in the chat, if you have questions for Hijacker, put them in the chat or just save them for next time. And then Hijacker, do you have a website, or is there any way people are asking, like, what's your channel? Do you have a channel?
No, I'm not anymore. In fact, I gave up my radio show on Revolution Radio about 5 or 6 months back because I realized I was to the point to where what I have to say or do just doesn't make a difference. But in your case, because of this kind of information, now this is not going to be for like a newbie type Christian, but for people that have had questions about what is the true reality of this world and what are we really into here. I thought it's worth it. It would be worth me coming on. So no website, no PayPal. If you want to give some money, give it to Tony, give it to his ministry, his platform, help him out. But no, I don't do shows anymore. I mean, if somebody were to ask me, sure, I'd come on. But this type of information, people, they don't, especially Christians, because immediately Christians slip over to, like, I didn't give a chance to put the link up of actually what is a man lives once, and then comes judgment. And this guy actually goes into what actual death is. A man lives once, then death, then comes judgment. He goes into the scripture and he shows, no, it's just not what people think it is. But a lot of people, they immediately go to, oh, you're talking about living 1,000,000 lives until you reach nirvana, like Siddhartha. And, you're talking about Hinduism and Buddhism, that type of thing. No, it's not that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about each person gets a chance to actually have to at least one time in one of their lives where they have a fair chance to accept or reject. And Jesus actually says that if you actually listen to his words, because he's exclusive. He says nobody comes to the Father but through me. And then he goes even crazier. And I am God. I mean, imagine somebody showing up. No wonder the Jays were trying to bash his head in with some stones. He shows up. Wait a minute. You and the Father are one? What are you talking about? We're going to bash your brains in, buddy. You show up. You claim the whole thing. You don't just claim to be a prophet or something. You show up and you're it. In fact, the Bible actually says, and through him, talking about Christ Jesus, he created everything. So it's actually Christ Jesus. God used Christ Jesus that created all things. Think about that one. Incredible.
Yep. And what I would also like to talk a little bit about next time is if you have the information on those 70 plus books that were thrown out, I'd love to know, where you.
It was 64 books. I just got that as a factoid because somebody was doing the Council of Nicaea. I'm not saying it right, but when they put together the
canon,
the Quran, the canon, right, is that they took in this many books, but there were 64. I heard there were 64 that were thrown out. I'll try to get that because I do think I earmarked that too. Well, later on in a timeline in your show when I was going to talk about the Bible and all the different Bibles that we got and why is it helter skelter? I mean, really think about why didn't Jesus just leave us the Word of God like he wanted when he went up and to third heaven, New Jerusalem? Why did he leave us groping around? Why did he leave us in this condition? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we're all kind of groping around. And then even people that used to think like Tim Clement and different people that you thought used to be prophets or whatever. And now that we know about the little season, and now we know about the Christ 1,000-year kingdom, and that the tribe there in the Middle East is not what we think it is, and yet they were supposed to be these big prophets, and turns out they were wrong, but they were honestly wrong. And so what did they see? And so,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree that there's a
Absolutely.
piece. I've been saying this for a while. I think there's a piece of the puzzle that we're all missing, because there's still something that, like you said, we're like, what's happening? Why is this all happening? It just seems like there's one thing. I think it's going to be almost as big as flat Earth. And maybe this is it. Maybe what you just said, maybe that's the missing puzzle that we've all been trying to figure out. But
Can I say one thing real quick?
yes, please.
So there's a little boy in Japan. His name is Joe Nagai. He did a study on butterflies, and basically the conclusion of the test that he did was that butterflies, if they are subjected to something unpleasant, along with the smell of lavender, after they become butterflies, when they're in the caterpillar state, but after they become butterflies, they still hold that memory of that trauma, right? And then he did the same test on their offspring, and their offspring's offspring, who had never been subjected to the smell of lavender or shock treatment. They had a memory, and they knew to stay away from that lavender, even though they were not firsthand subjected to it. So could it be possible that these memories that these people are having are not their own memories, but maybe it's something that's passed down through their genetics, like genetic memory? Could be. I'm just wondering, is that why they want us so pharmakia, like so pumped full of pharmakia? Because they're trying to suppress these memories that people are starting to have?
Well, to dovetail into that, there's something about the genetics. Rob Skiba, before he was murdered because of the big G. Anyways, he found a study of somebody who actually went into the prison system, and all they wanted to do was test the genetics, the chromosomes of people who were actually people that actually murdered somebody. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I'm here and I didn't do it or whatever. No, they went into this prison and they found people that says, yep, he was having an affair with my wife and I killed him. I killed that sucker. Yeah, I had it in for him. Yeah, I was, on alcohol or whatever. I got mad. Yeah, I killed him. So all these people were admitted that they actually did murder somebody. Well, when they did a genetic test, right in the same chromosome set of where the chromosomes are lined up, right at the same marker, they all had a mark. There was a mark in their chromosome, in their genetics, their genome or whatever. Every single one of the murders, and of course they tested people who didn't commit murders.
Are you talking about the study where they froze them and then they sliced their bodies like really super paper thin and then put them under a microscope?
No.
Is that the same study?
No. They were able to take their blood.
Oh, okay.
They were able to
Gotcha.
take their blood and get their DNA or whatever. Anyways, right at the same spot, all these people who didn't know each other, different races or whatever, they all had admitted they committed murder, and somehow they all got marked in their markers and genetically. It was really strange, but I remember Rob Skiba bringing up that. Yeah, that is strange.
Really
it's
strange.
one of those things. Yeah,
Hmm.
but I don't think that I think the saints are sitting up like what Kay said in that council, in that court.
I agree,
and I think that's what they do. I think that one of their big jobs is that you got so many people coming through this life is they bring people through and like, what did you do? It's like a judge. Really? That's how you were raised? Really? You did that? You did this? Wow. What are we going to do with you? Well, we're going to put you back, but you're going to be a poor person. I hope you make it. I hope you come to Jesus, but you're going to be dirt poor. the next time around. But I think, I mean, the Bible does say, Apostle Paul says, we shall judge angels. And it does say that there is a set of books of the good things that we did and the bad things that we did are written down. In fact, it's in, if you want to pull it up, Tony, maybe we could finish with that. But look at Revelation 20, verse 8. And it actually talks about that we are being judged out of two books. The one book is the book of things that we did or didn't do, and the good works and the bad works. And then the other book is the book of life, but actually two books. So what is that first book, and how are we judged, and who does that? And I think I think Revelation 28, or maybe it's 10. Let's see. It's to open up the books right before the judgment.
Let's just go to Revelation 20.
Yeah.
Is this the one 4? And I saw the
It's
seats.
probably going to be 11. 11 is where the judgment starts.
Oh, the great white throne right here.
Right.
Oh, right, the books
Yeah.
right here. It's 12. God and the books were opened.
Yep.
There it is right there.
Uh,
Can you guys see that?
right. What I'm trying to find is to be judged from the books.
Oh, right here. Judged according to their works.
Yeah, judged according to their works. Also, when Jesus returned, he made a judgment. You remember, I'll separate the sheep from the goats. All power and authority was given to him, and then he made a judgment. I think he made a judgment on all those 20 to 50 billion souls that had been or that were in Sheol. His judgment came, and I think his judgment was, "You will get a chance too. I didn't forget about you. Not only that, I built this whole world out, and I'm double back for you, and you're going to get a chance." But they were judged every man according to their works. So that's in the book of works. But then you have the book of the living, the book of life, which is a different book, but according to their works. So what does that mean? And how does that play for this council or this court system? You know, who's doing the judging? Who's opening up the book? And who's deciding, whether your works are good or bad? So, and that goes into Kay's court system deal. I mean, that looks like a court system deal. And they were judged, every man according to their works, not according to their faith. It has to do with what kind of person what you did, what you didn't do.
Yep.
And then another scripture where we shall judge angels. What does that mean? I mean, that's like, wow.
Yeah. Very interesting. All right. Well, Hijacker, thank you. Any final thoughts or words before we close it out?
Just whenever you think is a good opening, we can do this again, and I'll go through and I'll pick it up from number 5 and go through it, because I've got a lot more notes I can reinforce. I couldn't do it this time. I'm not that real good on the machines, you know what I mean, the computer, to where I can bounce around and pull bookmarks and do all that kind of stuff. But hopefully I'll have it more written out, more notes where I can go through them more succinctly. Because at first we were going to pre-record this, then we decided to do it live. So that kind of, you got to adjust, so to speak. But
yeah.
No, I appreciate it, Tony. It's been an honor, especially the panel. Thanks for all the questions. and maybe you can gather more. And then the next time we can go right through them, because I know a lot of people have questions. It's like, you know, I've had 6 children, and my wife said, you know, they all come out. They already got a certain personality. They already don't like noise, or they do like it, or they're already strong-headed, and it just reinforces it. You know, they already seem to have, where do all these personalities come from that are, you can see right in babies. So I mean, automatically. Yeah, of course you've heard about the bad seed. Some kids, they seem to come out bad, but yeah. But just so people take away, it's not Hinduism. It's you're going to get a fair shot at salvation with Christ by faith. That's what it is. If it takes 2 lifetimes, 4 lifetimes, 10, you're going to get it. You're going to get your chance. That's the point of it. And then when you finally get that chance, if you decide to live selfish, which it seems like most people do, because the way of the narrow is the way, narrow is the gate, right? And few find it. And a lot of people says, you know what? I'm just going to live for myself. I'm not going to do this crazy Christian life where I got to give this up and I can't do my own thing. So, yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks, Tony. I appreciate it.
Thank you,
God
Hijacker.
bless.
Yeah, God
Thanks,
bless
Clay.
you too.
Everybody. Yeah. Take care. All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks for everyone in the chat that stuck around. Sorry that it was a late night, but we appreciate all of you. And we're going to go through the comments over the next week, and we'll get questions for Hijacker for next time. Thank you all for watching. God bless you all, and good night.